always dreaming. He's a dreamer.
Yeah.
He comes up with the next greatest thing.
Yeah, but a dreamer that looks and says, we hit our goal. A little slower timeline than I wanted.
But
I had a vision. But we'll get to that in just a minute.
Okay.
He's geared to go.
Yeah.
I love it. Listen.
Well, that's why I had to stop and get this Sugar Rush.
And if you got to go to the restroom, just say, excuse me, get up, go to the restroom, come back.
I did that before I left the house.
Okay, and we'll make fun of you. Oh, well, what am I saying? You're TV production. You're so used to holding it. Dave, hit this thing and let's go.
You ready?
This
Yeah.
is impressive.
Yeah.
I like it.
Listen to the words of this song.
Yeah, I learned to stay strong. Concrete in the dirt I was raised on. Know how to put in work. Grinding all day, you know it's game on. My skin is thick, yeah, it's tough. Running, yeah, we stay alive. Ain't gotta look nowhere else. All of this greatness inside.
You ought to hear the whole song. Holy mackerel, episode 11. We're sitting here with...
That's my lucky number, 11.
Okay, we've had a 9
There we
and
go.
11.
Yep.
The gentleman that's... No, there are no coincidences in life. The mentors in my life say, write down every coincidence and tell me there is no God. And I can't do it. And we're going to talk about some of your coincidences.
11.
But let's let them know who you are. Welcome to All About the Grind, episode 11. I'm Brett, your host. Who cares? We are sitting with the Jeff Imperial. You don't know him yet, but you've watched a lot of his TV. Jeff is in the TV production industry. Can I say that?
Yes, sir.
Freelancer more or on the sports
At this
side?
stage of my career, yeah, I'm a freelancer, but it's also my day job.
Yep.
I'm in video
So
during the days.
share, and you don't have to share the hospital or what have you, but you're free to promote whatever you like. But your main day job is
Video producer, videographer, editor. I've been in my line of work for over 30 years now. Television news at Channel 12. Actually, I've worked at all the stations here in town at some
I
point.
don't think I knew that.
I didn't know that.
And but
in
television
video
news,
production and everything?
yes, running and gunning, doing the news for 5,
mean, the
6,
pressure.
and 11. Deadline pressure every
Deadline
day.
pressure. And you're the
Every day.
editor, and they're going,
Oh, they're screaming and yelling and
because the creative, they take a little longer, and then all of a sudden they shove it to you and go, okay, you got 3 minutes.
oh yeah, when you're waiting on a reporter
Yeah.
to get you the script,
Yeah.
and you're sitting there and you're like looking at the clock, going, "Oh my God, you got less than an hour to get this together. Then we got a live shot to do
And this
down the
is the-
street."
And this is back in the day when it was dubbing and putting in a tape and a tape.
Oh
right?
yeah,
And even probably
it's
before, it's a
it's
real.
not all digital like it is now,
Yeah.
which is even simplified the
Oh,
whole
I
process.
wouldn't be here. No. All About the Grind would not be here if this was 30 years ago.
No.
So to the haters, to the lovers, whatever.
But that early
funny.
part of my career was, I mean, if I could deal with those kind of deadline pressures day
So
to day.
Is that where
I mean,
your calmness comes from?
I think I got that from my mom and dad. They're really quiet,
Okay.
unassuming people, but
And
I'm
now
a little
we
different.
Hang on, and now we settle into the story. Mom and Dad, I do know you. For everybody out there, I've known you for some years. We're not like
Yes.
hangout buddies, but we have a great relationship
Because of our boys.
because of our boys that
Playing
began
ball.
with playing ball together.
Yeah.
And
but
the
you
day
know,
oneers began.
great people, great families stick together.
They do.
And we have.
We do. We met just a couple weeks ago, right? For all the boys that are Zach and Tanner were here on the show.
I saw that one.
Yeah, and so they have been fabulous to watch grow. But really, all of them. Your son, we're going to get into that a little bit. I'm going to have him on here. We'll probably have a little bit more fun. It'll be out in the back, and then we'll come out here in the evening. I want to know about his lifestyle and what they deal with, not the dirt and everything.
He's already getting a colorful life and career off the ground here himself. But anyway,
and you're able to talk about anything. Your story impresses me because of all the people you've been around all these years. So you started with your mom and dad.
I was a Navy brat.
Navy brat.
Bounced all over the country. Me and my brother and sister were all born in California. So we were
You were Cali boy.
West Coast kids, but because the military bounces you around every so often. We've kind of bounced all over the place.
Dad stern.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
Dad was strict.
Strict.
You know, I mean, everything. And
When the door opened,
back
how,
in
how did you feel when the door opened?
oh my God, if I messed up that day and Mom said, "Wait till your dad comes home,"
Oh, man.
I was already shaking in my shoes. And
They don't
I
have
was
an
crying
idea.
already. I'm like, "Oh my God, he's gonna bust my ass." You know?
Yes.
Oh, can I say that?
Yes.
Okay, I said that.
Oh, yes. You can say whatever you like.
But yeah, Dad was a tough one. But you know, Filipino culture. I mean, we're a kind, warm type of friendly people.
Demanding?
I'd like to think, but as far as well, the way I was raised, very strict and structured. I mean,
Don't embarrass the family.
yeah, and you had what do you call?
Was life success important in the Filipino,
Well,
like financial,
I'll say this about my parents. They both came from the Philippines. My dad joined the Navy in the late 1950s as a future. That he just thought,
Yeah.
I got to get out of here. And he and my mom were newlyweds. Came across the ocean to Washington State.
How old was she?
Oh my God, they were both
So they're like in their
early
teens,
early 20s.
early 20s.
Early 20s.
Any family over here yet? Or so they're first
They
generation.
jumped on the boat.
So you're second generation.
They jumped on the boat, came over. I mean, didn't know anybody. And
Where'd they land? North, south?
Bremerton, Washington. I always tell them, telling stories about Bremerton, Washington, up on the West Coast. And Dad just started a career in the Navy as an enlisted man. And bless my mom's heart, she's got a baby on the way. Me, I'm the oldest of three. Excuse me. And next thing you know, she's raising kids. I mean, there were two more after me, 1 year after the other.
So you got three
Young children. Dad's on the boat, going out on duty or overseas, and she's fending with three little idiots, And I heard the story goes that I was the worst of the three because I was getting into everything. But my mom, what a champ!
You have a high motor.
I got that from my dad because even as we all grew up, and my siblings were all already, teenagers. Dad was a workaholic.
I was about to say there was no sitting around time.
No, I mean if he was
Neither
sitting
am I.
around,
Yeah.
he
You
was-
need
he
something
was-
to do.
He was doing something around the house, or he was getting into things.
Yeah.
I mean, he got into real estate.
Really?
He got into electronics and tried to build his own television.
So he
He
just
was into
and
everything.
knew nothing about it. Just
And meanwhile, his oldest was like bored. Like, Dad, I really don't. That doesn't interest me. I really don't want to do that. I just want to hang out. I just want to play ball or whatever. And but now that this stage of my life, as I became a parent, I think I've resembled my dad more and more through the years. in that
I think that's
I don't
natural.
sit around.
I think it's natural.
Yeah, I have a hard time sitting around.
But we also realize there's so much to do, and I enjoy doing it. I mean, you love your job, but I don't want to get to your job just yet. So you go through high school out on the West Coast? Or?
No, high
Went to
school here in
Sandalwood.
Jacksonville.
Okay.
Sandalwood.
So when did you get to Jacksonville? How old were you?
71, and I was about 10 years old.
Okay.
And
So your impressionable years.
yeah.
Are
I
you a
was
ball
just
player by
bouncing.
then?
No, not yet.
No sports yet.
No sports yet. We came across the country in our little Toyota wagon.
I love those things.
And and really, one thing I remember about all that was, man, this world is big. Because we were driving through Texas,
Yep.
Louisiana,
Opening
and then Florida.
a young man's mind at a
And
young
at 10 years
age.
old, I'm like,
Yep.
wow, so there's life outside of California.
Yeah.
And then, well, when we finally made to the West Coast, Dad was actually bounced around. We went up to Norfolk, Virginia, which is where I became this guy.
I was gonna say you can wear
This
that
guy.
with pride this
I'm wearing
week.
this, just representing the old. I know we got Cowboy fans, right?
No, he's not
No,
Cowboy.
I'm
No,
a Saints
you are.
fan.
You are.
We suck.
At
least we got rid
I
of
thought
the court.
twice about putting this on.
No,
for you,
I love it.
But I thought, no, man, I had to brush off the dust and.
At least 2 of the teams in the conference made the championship game.
But we can
Yeah.
stop right here for a second. We definitely had the athletes for years. They overpaid our QB. He should have never been paid that kind of money. But I like the coach now.
Yeah.
I like who they brought in. And he's some youth. I think he talks the athletes' way, which I think you'll understand better than me because you're on the ground level. That's why I'm dying to get to your industry, not just because of what you do, because of what you allowed to experience. You're behind the scenes, and we're not looking for no voodoo, like back dark stories, but you get to see the real competitive edge of these athletes that someone in the stands can. I mean, you visualize it in a bite, but you're hearing it, seeing it, you get knocked over. So, I mean, you're on the edge of every.
Literally.
Yeah, literally. So, your dad, you get over here at 10, 11. So you're not into sports yet. I'm wondering
Not
where the
into s-
love of sports
okay.
came.
Well, when my dad got reassigned to Norfolk, Virginia, we lived in Portsmouth up there, and I'm still very impressionable at that time.
Right.
Going to church on Sundays
Right.
because that's the Filipino
Right.
thing.
Right.
And
Is that Catholicism in Filipino industry? The Filipino community? Is it Catholicism?
majority,
A form of?
yes,
Okay.
majority of people.
Okay.
And that's part of the culture. That's all
Sure.
I knew growing
Sure.
up, And we're up in Virginia, and we come home from church every Sunday. Turn on TV, and there's the Washington Redskins every Sunday. And I'm like,
Every Sunday.
every Sunday, and I'm like, what is this football thing? And I don't know what happened.
Was that the pig? Was that the
That was a lineman. They
The
were
line-
the pigs, and you had
The
John
hogs,
Riggins.
Hogs.
the hogs were not there yet.
See, this is where he'll
They
help
weren't
us.
discovered yet.
Okay. But they were
71.
hogs, by the way.
Sonny Jerkinson, Billy Kilmer, my first childhood idol, Larry Brown, their running back. Charlie Taylor. I mean, I could list the whole
The
starting
crazy
lineup
thing
if
is, you
want.
think about they called them the Hogs because they were big, but back then it was only like 250 and 260.
I think they were
Very-
280, weren't they?
They were very small back
Yeah, they
then.
were
They were.
smaller.
Yeah, they were. Well, I mean, that goes to show what the development in science and everything.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, even Zach tearing his labrum, you don't come back from that.
Back in their day?
Back in their
No,
day, you're
yes,
done.
You're over.
Tommy John's pitchers want them now because they gain a mile or two an hour on Tommy John's.
That, and they get them repetitively, like
Yes,
2-3 times.
it's a little hush hush. These pitchers want Tommy John surgeries. Now, I am not saying they want to rip their arm and do all the rehabilitation, but I'm telling you, if they're going to tear anything, they want it to be Tommy John because they now know how to make you
Make it better.
better.
Next time around. Yeah.
better.
Wow.
So we do this, we bounce, but we'll bounce back to it too.
Oh, that's cool.
So you're into beginning to watch the Redskins.
Yeah, and they were successful. George Allen was their old school coach from the LA Rams. He brings in all these veterans.
I
He
mean, are
doesn't-
you playing
doesn't
ball
like-
outside in the yard yet?
in the snow? First time seeing snow too, because
Okay.
right next to our it's like an apartment complex. Because in the Navy you're bouncing, you don't really
yeah.
moving into big houses
Yeah.
because you're going to be uprooting somewhere
Half the
down the
boxes
road.
never got unpacked.
But right next to our house, because we're on the end of a block of townhomes there, or whatever you call it, was a field. The field, and all the neighborhood kids.
Magic happens on those
magic.
fields. Come on, let's stop
Magic.
for a second right here. If you have not, no, everybody's done it. I don't care if you've been standing around. If you've lived in any kind of a community, you've had the bike gangs, you've had the basketball at the end of
Absolutely.
you've had that family that just let all the kids hang and swim. There is magic in those moments, that community moment of youth. Because I think that's where you learn to engage with people, and whether it's
Socializing,
socialize,
making new friends.
ethnicities, and that's like Fleming Island was 97% white. So I made sure my kids were involved in other things that had ethnicity involvement, so that they had an
You just
engagement.
brought up a memory,
Do it.
because going to school there, while we were up there in Norfolk, I went to a private school, a Catholic school first. But then after a year of that, I guess, my parents, for whatever reason, switched us to a public school. And my public school was predominantly, black.
Yep.
And so for a Filipino kid,
Yeah.
it was eye opening, but I wouldn't, there was no,
Preconceived notion.
notion about it. I just want to get along, but that was cool. And just, in a way to just,
At an early impressionable years, a way to learn, grow, and develop.
right.
Which I see in your life today, because I mean you run in a wide circle. You have many circles. You have
Yeah.
your spiritual circles, but it's based around. I put in one of my posts. I don't know if I'm gonna make it through your childhood yet, because I'm dying to get to his sports.
Okay.
I put in one of my posts. I said he can make a crowd stand, and he's never caught a ball. He can make a crowd roar, and he's never caught the winning touchdown. Just the turn of a camera, and they stand. And
That thing is magic, by the way.
it is magic.
On my shoulder, I'm a
This has been
star.
freeing to me, and I can only imagine. You're right. You're absolutely right. Putting
Power
the power of
television,
and
video.
with millionaires want your attention. They're claiming. I mean, they're clawing for you to get them on
I've
TV.
made some interesting friends
Yes.
through my career.
Have you ever had anybody that is so? Before I get there, what you do is you're really ground floor in sports, whether it be
Front row seat,
name the sports that you're involved in. I mean,
all of them.
yeah. I mean, like baseball, basketball,
Baseball,
football.
basketball.
Which are your main
football.
ones?
Well, the most popular ones: the baseball, basketball, football,
But you do
Jaguar.
Jaguars. How do you say it?
Jaguars.
Let me tell y'all something. He has been there since inaugural day, and he said Jaguars.
I was in.
He did not
Chicago.
say Jaguar.
Oh, when I hear Jaguar, I go.
Okay,
cringe.
okay.
I cringe.
He won't watch last week's episode. We literally had a
Really?
10-minute. Oh, it was a 5-minute of Jaguar. Okay, go.
Jaguars.
Jaguars. Okay,
Well,
got it.
No,
So you were from inaugural.
ground floor when 83, 84, when
The
NFL
Bulls?
wanted to expand,
Okay.
and they gave Charlotte the Carolina Panthers. They were supposed to give
93,
They were
94.
supposed to give 2 to make it even 32, from
Yep.
30 to 32, but there was ownership,
Yeah.
money issues, and they wanted the league wanted to give it to St. Louis or Baltimore.
A bigger
Baltimore
market.
didn't have a team yet because they went to Cleveland, or was it? Anyway,
I remember
because of
LA being in between teams, and they were talking about that.
there were so many
Yeah.
cities juggling.
It was
for that.
93, 94, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So, meanwhile, the Jacksonville touchdown Jacksonville. I don't know if you guys remember that?
I do. They put together a
a proposal
with just a
package.
vision.
But little Jacksonville market, TV market, they wanted a big boy,
Yeah.
but they already presented on the table their bid, and it was sound. But the league wanted something sweeter or better,
Because TV's big money.
big money,
Yeah.
and they postponed it a month to award the 32nd team. So meanwhile, in Jacksonville, I'm already in the TV business
Right.
locally at TLV 12. They set up the meeting at Chicago O'Hare Hilton,
I remember
just outside
that.
the airport.
Yep.
And as luck would have it, our TV video sports guy, Billy Ellis, he had already went to, I forget where it was when they awarded Charlotte their team. And he wanted to go on vacation.
Right.
And I was like the guy on deck for sports, Dan Hicken and all those
Right.
guys. And he says, J.I., you want to go to Chicago with us, to award the team? And it was just kind of like we got to have an appearance. We got to be there.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, I want to go. I want to go. Knowing full well, we're not going to get that 32nd
Right.
team. but we'll go
Right.
spend the company dime and, and hang out and see who gets
So
the team.
you and all the Channel 12 guys, the sports guys, are up there.
Even part of our news, because, this is a big
Right.
deal. If by some chance
Right.
Jacksonville gets his team, we got to cover it.
Right.
So we're up in at Chicago the airport there, and all of a sudden, little things start happening. St. Louis, Chicago, and LA, and all them are fighting amongst themselves in house.
Now, are you shooting while this is going on?
Oh yeah,
So how do you shoot and keep your mind on?
being a fan. It was hard.
Yeah, because you have passion.
What happened was, we're hanging out in the lobby and we're just looking.
See his hands bobbing.
looking for something, like when's the next meeting? What's going on in the ballroom over there? We're just kind of looking. And
Are you
of course-
creeping by?
Oh, I'm.
And you got a camera in your hand?
I'm. What do you call it? I'm snooping.
Yeah. You're.
I'm checking. I'm looking for something, and I got to tell you this story. Excuse me. I'm sitting there, got my camera right beside me. All of a sudden, some guy in a suit walks by, and he's carrying
binders.
No, he's carrying boxes of like NFL merchandise. I grab my camera and I follow him, and of course I don't ask questions. I just turn
Right.
on the camera.
Right.
Ask for
Right.
forgiveness later. Just
Yeah.
roll now.
Right.
I'm rolling, going, hey, what you got there? And he's going, hey, what do you want? I'm like, I don't know. Where are you going? What do you got there? He goes, hey, leave me alone. Get away from me. And he's trying to going down another hallway, trying to get away from me. And he's looking for an elevator.
Right.
And I'm like, is that Jaguar? Couldn't be. He goes, dude, get away. I got nothing. So I'm rolling on all this. He gets on an elevator, and I run back to Hicken and all our other people. This is a scoop. This is something.
Absolutely.
This is something like, and it's Jaguar stuff.
It's what you live for in your industry.
And when you got a scoop like that, hush hush.
Yeah.
Because Channel 4,
Yeah.
the other stations are there too.
Yeah.
So this is a big coup.
And you're.
We run back. Go. I just saw a guy walk down the hall. He's got the stuff, and this was hours before the announcement. So we're like,
So you were literally one of the first to ever know.
me,
Pretty much the first
I
outside
was
of
there.
the league.
Come on.
I was
Come
there.
on.
I saw that, and little did we know. I mean, life.
Jacksonville. I was living in Duval at that time. Duval. And we erupted. And we'd had the Bulls and some USFL and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Per
But
se, using us.
we had
against the
arrived.
Colts.
I mean, we had arrived.
Jacksonville was on the map.
We were on the map. No one knew. We were just a joke. We were
joke.
We were South Georgia. That's all we were. And the Jags have made a huge impact in this.
The rest is history, really. I mean, what happened?
Especially the first few years. I mean, we got spoiled. Yeah, I knew I would get that reaction.
My life. Well, my life has changed. I mean, who knows where I'd be now, but because of the Jaguars,
Oh, that's right.
I ended up staying in Jacksonville. I mean, in my kind of line of work, you kind of bounce around, usually to a bigger city, bigger money,
Bigger markets.
Bigger markets, exactly. And my wife and young kids didn't want to leave here because Jacksonville's home. Never had to leave because Jaguars took care of
I say
everything.
basically the market came to you.
Yeah.
At the perfect moment.
And how unconceivable is that when you think about it?
Yeah, but you know what? If you're not, and this is the little things that people forget. If you're not prepared with the right skill sets, you could have never taken advantage of that opportunity. If you weren't a dependable person, Channel 12 would have never had you, in their inner circle going over there with them.
Not to brag, but
I want you to brag, yeah.
when the Jaguars came and it was official, they were hiring people,
Right.
and they were the first team in 95-ish to want to do their own production in-house.
Oh, really?
So that they had control over it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know, and and the rumor was they wanted to have a production, television, radio, in-house. Directed by them, controlled by them.
Right.
So everybody wanted those jobs, including myself.
Sure.
And
Were you working for the hospital by now?
oh no, I was still
Okay.
at Channel 12. I was a special projects producer.
How old are you?
Let's see, 20. I'm already. Jordan wasn't born yet, so that was.
You're in your
20
30s, right?
Yeah, I'm in my 30s already by now.
Yep.
I'd already been in television news for 10 plus years, bouncing from
You're
station
prime.
to station, and
Yeah.
just honing my skills. And by that time that the Jaguars came to town, I was a special projects producer for WTLV, working on anything above the day-to-day stuff. I was working on those
And that's like
assignments.
And that's like baseball. It's a small world. If you are a certain kind of an individual that's difficult to work with or not dependable, word gets around and you'll be out of business pretty quick.
Oh yeah,
I remember years ago you were, and then we'll get into juggling family and all that you do because you should have kept that Tundra. You could have made money today and all this social media stuff. How many miles did you put on that? Almost 400,000? Listen to this.
Excuse me.
I remember.
Yeah.
My old Forerunner.
Forerunner. There it was. So,
Got that for the wife because Jordan was born and wanted her in a
Right.
nice, dependable,
something that
truck.
went in a wreck.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And next thing you know, that becomes like my little company car. And I run that thing into the ground.
Well, I mean, because you were,
400,
yeah.
486.
Okay.
No,
I've never heard of it.
wait,
I've never
386,000.
Okay, 3.
And I wanted to get to 400 on that thing. And I should have.
And I'm
I
texting
should
him going,
have called Toyota and said, "Hey, I got something here. You guys will benefit from this. You might need to make a commercial,
I
or
will
maybe
go-
even you were one of the guys
Yeah,
back then said,
I
you,
did.
You need to talk to
no,
Toyota."
I literally got on Twitter at the time, it wasn't X, and I told them I had a gentleman that I knew that had 380 some odd thousand miles or whatever, and I don't think I tagged you. Or
That's
anything.
just unheard of.
It was, and then I.
But
got
that
enough-
was sacrifices you made for your family too. It was required to grow and to develop.
that's my parents. I mean, they're practical
Yeah.
people. We're not.
Content.
Yeah.
You've always been content. I mean, you've
Well,
had
you should
stresses
see
in
the
life.
Toyota I'm driving now. It's paid off, but hey,
Yeah.
I got a one less car payment
Yeah,
to deal
when
with.
and as much equipment as you sling in and out of that vehicle, you had ball players in your vehicle for
Oh, yeah.
decades with
It
Ji.
was a little team bus
Yeah.
at times too.
Now Ji's older, and I am bouncing a little bit in between family and business, but Ji's older siblings were they in athletics?
Yeah, both my girls, Jordan, the youngest of three, 2 girls, they would come with me to, like when I was playing softball
Yeah.
and stuff like that. They would tag along.
Do you play for Channel 12 ever?
Oh yeah, we had a
Okay.
media league, and
Yeah.
that was some ruthless,
Yeah.
cutthroat.
Had to see if Al Emmerich ever played in the media
Yeah.
league with Rock 105. Did he?
I remember him.
Yeah.
I didn't know him
Yeah.
personally, but I played against him.
But we had him on. He was, I think, our first
Guest.
Do you
Wow.
know? Do you know his dad was the first man to say "melts in your mouth, not in your hands"? The 1940s,
Really?
the Eminem, and
Wow.
you got to go back and listen to his story. His story. We'll have him back on as well.
I'll check that out.
Oh, it was dynamic. By the way, speaking about that, if you do like this stuff, if you do like what we're bringing you, like, share, and subscribe. If you don't, scroll by. It's pretty easy. There's a million of us out there. All right, back to you. So your dad is that tough nosed grinder. I think a lot of our grinder video.
He didn't waste money.
Yeah.
I would turn 10 years,
Yeah.
10 years old, another vivid memory. Took me to the bank because obviously I saved my allowance money
Right.
and I wasn't going to spend it. He wanted me to deposit it and open an account. because, well, he in the Navy, he was what they call a dispersing clerk.
Right.
So he was like the ship banker.
Oh, so he's already about it, like an
he's-
accountant mentality.
Exactly. And,
Yeah.
and, you know, every payday on the ship, he was everybody's best friend. That's what he used to say. So I grew up knowing, don't waste your money. Save it for a rainy day. That's all I knew as a kid.
And
growing
what
up.
was Mama like?
Oh, Mama was just, you know, holding down
Love.
the fort, you know, loving, caring lady, you know.
She had to be firm though, didn't she, when Dad was gone?
She tried to.
That's my
but
wife.
As we
I was
grew,
gonna say that's
as we
Dawn.
grew older, you know,
It's
we're
hard.
getting crazy,
It's hard.
and yeah, you know, that's that old. Wait till your dad gets home.
Yeah.
That's where that came from.
Did you have other, like being in the military, were there other close families that sort of helped?
Well, the funny thing was, everywhere we moved, there was always a Navy presence around, other families that were bouncing around. And of course, we all gravitated towards each
Yeah.
other, city to city, because of where we ended up living.
Now watch me snatch him back. So you're at the field, that big old open field.
Oh, yeah.
See, I got him back to the magic spot now. I never lost
Let me
it.
tell you
That's why
what.
I love my pad.
Let me tell you what, watching
Do
the
you remember?
Redskins
Like,
on Sunday, yeah, I remembered things.
there's things that happened at Bruce Park. I played against
I've played at Bruce
Otis
Park.
Smith, D.
Wow.
Brown.
Really?
He won the slam dunk contest.
D.
D.
Brown.
Brown, sorry.
D. Brown.
D. Brown. Not as much D. Brown there, but Otis Smith, Ronnie Murphy, all those boys that were at JU, well, they like to play ball, and they would play at Bruce Park. And so me and my brother were the only two white boys out there, and we would run from sun up to sundown because I lived near Beach and University, and we would walk or ride our bike all the way up to Bruce Park, and we would play. And there was no crowd. It was the men there. And you would go down to the end and you would play at the corner and with 30 guys, half of them drunk or high, no blood, no foul, to win, to then get to pick your team to run against the
Wow.
winner. And if you ever lost, you were out.
I bet those were the best.
Oh, and I never got
memories.
picked because, I was the white boy. And it took me, I was like 16. I mean, I was getting slapped around by men. And I learned to play street ball. I learned to use them bony little elbows.
I did that on Navy bases,
Yep.
bouncing around because there would be the grown up fellas on
Yep.
the court, and I wanted to hang with them, and I did mostly standing there watching, a spectator. But every once in a while, I'd get in with them, and yeah, they would
Absolutely.
knock you around.
Some of the greatest moments I remember. I mean, I played one game. I literally remember like it was some college game. It was. I'm not saying this was against Ronnie Murphy and all these guys. It was against some known athletes on that court at that time. There was local legends that we'll never know in college ball. Some of the greatest athletes will never make it
Yeah.
because they get caught up in the world, and they're fast because they're running from the cops or they're running from this, and
right.
and so these boys would be out there. We'd be playing ball, and I mean it was serious stuff. And I mean this was back when Henry Mann and all the drug dealing days, and you'd be out there and they'd pull up and that green Jaguar and he'd lay all that gold out.
That little sign up to those man boys
Yep.
were at Sandalwood. And
Yes, they were.
And one was in class with me.
Yes, they
And
were.
little did I know, as I got into my business with television,
Yep.
I'm going, man.
Yep.
And then you see his mugshot. I go,
Yep.
I was in class with that kid.
And then his son
And
took over.
they were big time notorious.
Big time.
in
That's when the
Jacksonville.
lowriders came in. That was over Sandal. I know. That's when all
Those
the
were some
the,
bad boys.
Bad boys. And then they used to play ball. Matter of fact, no, not going there because that's
Okay.
a lawsuit. So I'll tell you one day.
Man was his brother was a running back for Sandalwood.
Yeah. No, there were some athletes. And there were some other, I'll put it to you this way. There were some other athletes that went on to play major D1 ball that would play basketball down at Southside Junior High. And then they had the dunk ball court just on the other side. Well, the big boys would be up there. We got into a dunk ball contest. My brother was always a talker. And it was raining and we were playing ball. And by the time we were done, I beat the guy. He didn't want to pay me the money. So my brother starts taking off shirts and the things that we all, the 80s kind of a world. It wasn't a guns kind of a world back then.
No, it wasn't.
Well, the boys that you would know this name and I would get sued. So I can't prove any of this. So whatever.
Yes.
Yeah. So These boys were playing major ball. This guy goes and grabs a gun. I'm running to the car. They're running from the major court over to the dunk ball court, and we were just fast enough to get in the car with Dwayne Dawson. Off we're going, and I never got paid, by the way. So, and that's where I'll leave that story. Oh.
Well, hey, the field next to our house.
Yes.
After watching and learning the game of football by watching the
Redskins.
The Redskins on TV. First down, 10 yards, and I'm like, this is cool. And then we go out, all the kids picking teams.
Yep.
And then you just keep throwing the ball around. And
Were you the quick one?
oh my God, I think I was definitely a legend in my own mind back at that age.
Were you breaking ankles?
I was the quarterback, and those early days, Mom wouldn't let me play ball, put on a helmet and pads, but those schoolyard games were
rough.
They were rough. We were physical, and and then as you grew up, moving here to Florida, they got really rough.
Yeah, the athletic ability is a little greater in Florida and Texas.
And growing up in the Sandalwood area, those pickup games were,
in the 80s, the athletes were coming from Sandalwood. Y'all put out some athletes.
Well, back when I was at Sandalwood in the 70s, we weren't all that.
That's right.
We weren't
I'm
all
80s.
that. And we were lucky to be 500 in football.
Yeah.
Very lucky. But yeah, as in the 80s, definitely Withrow.
Yeah.
And those boys, they were going to, state playoffs and stuff.
Yeah.
I remember reading that.
What did you? So you didn't play ball at Sandalwood. When did you get?
I was a soccer player. I mean,
Okay.
I did play football, junior high, and JV.
Yeah.
But I've been this size.
Yeah.
All 5'8", 135 pounds.
Yeah.
Since junior high. So I wasn't cut out for football.
But speed can be a friend.
Well, I was fast, but
Yeah.
other than that, but I played basketball. Basketball was my passion.
Yeah.
And I could play, but then I was just telling this story yesterday. Loved basketball. Played in junior high at Sandalwood. Right. And then the summer before JV, all the guys that I played ball with, I come back to school for 10th grade, and they'd all grown 6 inches except me. And I'm like, what the fuck? And I didn't have the handles to hang with them. So basketball became history at that point.
You helped your son, though.
Yeah,
because he hung.
He did, and he's
no, he didn't just hang. He competed. We'll get to him.
Yeah,
he's a ball player.
But
I like his swag.
The only sport I had left was soccer, and I played. I started,
and it wasn't as cool back then. Now it's way more acceptable.
No, soccer back
was a
in
girls'
my
sport.
day. Soccer in my day had a bunch of football players who just wanted something to do,
Okay.
and we called them toe queens because they didn't kick with their
kicked with your toes.
They kicked with their toes, so we'd call them toe queens because they kicked straight on.
Me. That would have been me.
But I was decent. I was decent at soccer. I had a hat trick against Fletcher.
Really?
Yeah, but we lost like 10 to 5.
Don't tell that part of the story.
I should. Yeah, cut that part out.
Exactly.
But I did have a hat trick once.
That's awesome. So, big group of friends in high school, or were you like pretty tight knit?
I mean, they still have cliques. Cliques is still a word.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we had cliques, and I was fortunately part of the jocks because
you're just so social now, and I'm wondering, were you social back then?
Yeah, I was. I'm friends with everybody.
I think some of it come because of the military brat. You're always moving, always having to make new friends, always having to start over.
That had a lot to do with it. Because, every few years, I remember being so upset because we're saying bye to these folks, and then you're coming to a new place, a new environment, and
no email, no internet. No, I mean, they're gone. Once you left somebody, like when you came to Jersey, they were out of your life. Well, I mean, other than a phone call, which costs money long distance.
Little side note.
Yeah.
Shout out to my boy, Eric Anderson, who lives in St. Augustine. We were buddies back in 4th grade in Tucson, Arizona.
Are you kidding me?
One of the stops, shore duty with my dad. And because of Facebook, he goes, he messaged me and says, "Did you go to school in Arizona back in the?" I go, "Yeah," and I go, "Eric, is that you?" So now we're like reunited.
That's the neat thing about Facebook.
He went military, but yeah, it is very cool about that. But he lives in St. Augustine. We keep talking about getting together for lunch.
Yeah.
But shout out to Eric.
Awesome.
And
Awesome.
that's definitely my oldest friend.
Did you know you were going to go to Florida? Were you already in the TV production mentality in high school? No idea at all. You're just going to college.
Story about my dad.
Yeah.
He was a shutterbug, loved taking photos, family photos,
Okay.
just a hobby. And when Apollo 11, was that the one that landed on the moon, the first one?
Yes.
I think it
I'm
was.
gonna say yes.
Neil Armstrong, Buzz
Yep.
Aldrin,
Yep.
and I think it's Dave Collins.
'Cause
Okay, they
13
want to
yep.
land. They want to land on the moon. My dad, we were in Arizona at the time, and when that lunar module, I think that's what they called it, was coming down on the moon, Dad shrouded, because it was the middle of the day, shrouded all the windows so that he could take pictures of the TV screen.
That's cool, though. That's pretty cool. And that's the old time
And
camera.
I remember that like it was yesterday, because we're all sitting in the dark, and we, as kids, we're
Yeah.
that's cool. This is cool.
Mesmerized.
Dad, look, and he's taking pictures of them stepping on the moon for the first time.
Do you think it's
And-
fake?
That was talked about the other day. In my mind, I want to
just
remember
an
it.
opinion.
I want to remember it the way
As real.
it was real to me, because
Somebody's going to have to explain to me. This one ticks me off. Somebody's going to have to explain to me how I can find the exact names of the Challenger people, and they are teaching the exact stuff they taught, and they look identical, they sound identical, although they are older. I'm not talking about every one of them. Start research, and this is where we got to get where we start popping this stuff up, so I'm not just talking about it.
AI. I mean, these days you don't know what to believe anymore.
I will post a link either way. We'll find out if it's true, because I did on the heart. Last week, I'm like, a heart's not a pump. I was like, it was a valve. Now you eat, yes, okay. Y'all didn't see his big eyes. Zoom in, you'll see it. Like, you idiot. He's eating sandwiches nowadays, watching people do surgery. Is that somewhat?
Yeah.
I mean, you don't have your stomach's pretty thick.
No,
Because you see,
my first spot news, as we called it in television news, an accident. There was a dead body in a car because of a car wreck, and I could see it and everything. And oh wait, that was here in Jacksonville. First, oh no, I'm working in Gainesville. First job out of college. Drug deal gone bad. Guy got shot in the head and in the chest, and he's laying on the side of the road. And me and my reporter, come up because we're covering news for the news.
right?
And we get there before the coroner, and he's just laying there. And I'm looking like, oh my God, that's a dead body.
And he's like, shoot it.
Yeah. And he's like, get some video. And I'm like, are you going to use this? Because you can't,
Right.
you can't shoot, but shoot it anyway.
Right.
So I'm walking up to this thing, and I remember my stomach getting all,
Oh, I have a weak stomach.
and, but yeah, after that, now I can eat a sandwich and
When
get
did
video.
when did you go from Channel 12? So you other than you went to Channel 4 and others locally.
I've worked,
You bounced around.
Yeah, Channel 17 even before they were CW.
Yeah.
They had news.
Yeah.
Because they were an NBC station at the time.
When did you get into the medical side of, because you shoot, your day job is you shoot medical
For
procedures, correct?
For the hospital, yes.
Yeah.
Well, at that point in my career, I know we're jumping around here.
We are.
But
I do that sometimes.
But I've already been in the TV business, production business for, well over 20, 30 years.
Oh, okay. I thought it was earlier.
No.
Okay.
I've been at the hospital now for 15 years, going on 16.
Okay.
And my skills can really adapt to wherever.
Yep.
And in the case of working at UF Health, another opportunity. They want somebody, in house, and with my skills, I'm real versatile. I can do everything from beginning to end by myself. I'm like I used to call myself a one-man band.
Learned in college.
Started in college, but really honed my skills while I was at Channel 12.
What was your degree in at Florida?
Telecommunications.
Okay.
Graduated in 86 from Florida, and
I'm so jealous.
I mean,
So jealous. Hang on a second. Just stop. I mean, he's a Gator graduate, man. My money goes to Florida because of Sydney, but I will never be able to wear that badge. Dawn Marie would have had that badge, but she met me. And I knew if she went down there, she'd have met someone like you, and I'd never got her back. So I hustled her to UNF where I could keep tabs on her.
Degree's degree, and I mean, power to anybody who can.
To Florida. I mean, come on. It's just sacred. It's pretty cool.
It was, and it's funny.
Because they weren't really that good in athletics when you went there.
The Jeff now couldn't get into Florida with their standards now. Back in the mid '80s when I went, I mean, I already had a AA degree.
Yeah.
From, we called it FJC back in my day.
Right.
But it's FSCJ now.
Yeah.
And I always had that in my back pocket.
Yeah.
And instead of finishing up school, again, I was young, stupid, immature. I just wanted to party.
Yeah.
I was a night owl, working, bartending.
Oh, so you were a bartender as well?
Yeah, before I finished school, and I just hanging with my boys and just living life.
Because you were in a fraternity, correct?
Yeah, when I got to Florida.
Yeah, to Florida. Okay.
Yeah.
And you still stay tied into them?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, we have an annual golf tournament, and I try to make it to that every year.
Do you find that it helps you in business too? Do you get good networking from fraternities?
Yes.
See, I've seen that. I was never in a fraternity.
All aspects of life, whether it's a fraternity, whether it's the TV news circles, the people that I've worked in my business, the hospital.
Yeah.
Networking is crucial.
Networking's really life, because however you treat somebody going up, you're going to deal with it coming down. And who hasn't had an up and a down in life, where you're going to be dealing with people again, and you better be careful how you handle people.
And, it's one thing to bring skills to a table, whatever your line of work is. But if you're a people person and you find a way to get along, adapt with whoever that is, whether they're, your future best friend or someone that's a total jerk. Yeah. You just got to find a way, and that really helps you in your career.
When did you start settling? Like, partying, hanging with the fellas, and then you get out of college. I mean, because I partied in my 20s, while I worked.
Well,
like many do.
Becoming a dad, getting married.
That's
often. That really settles you down.
A baby girl.
Yes. Ooh. Same. And for me, my work too, because once I figured out what I was going to do for a living and got into the TV news business,
You're 24/7 basically.
I was all in on that.
Yeah.
I mean, all in to where it really, what do you call?
Your balance of life can really get shifted in the wrong direction. Mine did in Woodview. Distributors had grown to 50 plus stores.
It consumed you.
Yeah, well, long before I was an alcoholic, I was a workaholic. And so, and the world praised you. I mean, you know me. I can run on 3 hours sleep. I mean, I'm a night owl. Too. There's a lot of us. And what I find interesting is people like himself keep the work in front. And mine was when corporate Woodview began to teeter, and I was pulled out of the corporate running of all of them. I had too much time on my hands, and I didn't get back into softball, and I didn't get back. I have to, the Bible, idle hands. Is that even in the Bible? or is it just a saying? Idle hands are the devil's handiwork.
Not sure.
Whatever it is, but I found it to be true with my kids. We keep our kids busy because they're gonna find something to do,
Right.
You know. So you get out of college. Your first real job is all through the news.
Yes. I mean, it
So
was
you
funny.
dive right in.
I was 2 weeks from getting my diploma and everything, and I didn't have a job or anything. And I remember thinking, "Oh God, what am I going to do now? I got this piece of paper, but I got I don't have anything. I guess I'll go back to bartending again, and that would
Because the money was good,
and mom and dad wouldn't have liked that.
right?
But then there was an opening. I'm telling you, God has a hand on me
Yeah.
because all these little stories I'm telling, so there's something being about in the right place, the right time, and all of a sudden some door opening. I've had many doors open for me just when I needed one too.
Okay, so I have philosophy about this, and I'm getting stronger with it as I keep saying it. Maybe I'm just making myself believe it. Y'all figure it out. This is my opinion. I ain't no psychologist. I believe that higher power, I know him as God, sows the seeds on this earth that if I sow good works, good things come. I don't believe it to be karma. I believe that if there is a higher power, there's a lower power. We'll call him Satan, all right? I believe Satan sows this earth, and if I want to sow the seeds of the world, he will gladly replenish it with beautiful fruits of the world. They become really hollow over the years, and that's what this all about the grind is about in this journey. And the only thing I've ever found that has satisfied me is having a higher calling. And I'm not talking about podcasts and how many people watch, but I will tell you why we're doing this. We had a gentleman come in this store the other day that has been, I'll let him tell the story, so I'm not going to, obviously we've narrowed it down. It's not the women, but there was a gentleman that had told his story on here, and there's some dark, deep secrets that are difficult to tell. He didn't blink an eye, he just shared. You can tell he shared with a lot of people. And he'd come in here and he was telling us, because he's going to be coming back on down the road, he'd already reached it. 3 people had reached out to him from this podcast. One he's working with again in sobriety, walking him back through a new life. So there's a family that is being touched. There's a son, a daughter, a mother, a family that lost hope. And all of a sudden, just through this little silly podcast, one was touched. And there was actually 3, was there not, Dave?
He said there were 3 instances. One was the one he got a sponsor back. He was sponsoring the guy.
Yeah.
And then there were 2 other instances where people called him and said, "We saw you on the podcast."
Yep.
Wow.
And it's not just about seeing him on podcasts, but there was an impact in that conversation. It opened a door, and this will happen as this thing grows.
That's awesome.
There'll be men that will reach out to you that, "Hey, I saw you. You had a demeanor. We don't know what God has intended for your words. You think they're jumbled, and I bounce around, and I'm not good at this." And it's true. I'm not a radio, TV kind of a guy, but if we're authentically raw in this channel, it is nothing but good's going to come from it.
I believe in that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because good comes from real. And the lies is where all my darkness lives. And so I keep lights on everything. You'll know everything about me because I can't keep a secret. I mean, I can. You don't want me keeping secrets. I become an ugly person, so... Anyways, that went off to the side there for a second. So
You went to Florida. Did I read you went to Oklahoma also?
I through my business, through my television skills, I stumbled upon we call it a video workshop, and I went there just to hone my skills. It's called NPPA, National Press Photographers Association. This organization has been around since, the 50s, maybe even earlier, and it's a workshop for our skills as television and radio people. And it basically, the fundamental part of it is storytelling, learning how to tell a story, learning how to compose, a story so that it affects people. It touches their heart.
Stops their flipping, lets them,
Right. Like,
engages them.
Cable television now, you just surfing. And if you can hold someone's attention
Yeah.
and then make them remember whatever story it is you're trying to tell, so that, they're talking about it at the coffee pot,
Right.
the next day at work, then you've done your job.
Yeah.
So, and I owe the NPPA a lot for my success, because that was a week-long workshop with a whole bunch of people like me, like-minded like me, who just wanted to tell, memorable stories. And I learned a lot of skills there that I brought back to Jacksonville. And it really flipped my career into overdrive.
You saw where you wanted to go. Your path.
I mean, I
clear.
knew what I was doing
Yeah.
in my business at that early stage of my career, but now I had a focus and I had a direction of where I wanted to take what I was doing. And the proof was in the pudding, because when I came back, I was a different guy. And all of a sudden I was doing things on just the day-to-day grind stories with the people I was working with, to where I started winning TV awards.
Wow. What was your first?
Well, NPPA had this little quarterly contest where if you do a story, you submit it, and this is from people
Right.
in our business all over the country,
Right.
and they award first,
Right.
second, third, honorable mention, and I started winning a couple of those here and there, and that validated that I got the
More
formula.
confidence too, right?
I got the formula. I know how to tell an effective story.
Yeah.
And so I won a couple of those. And then, of course, Channel 12 started, hey, I don't know what Jay is doing over there, but, we need to put him on, these other stories. So every time in our business, the sweeps come around, it's a television period where they're trying to up the numbers on viewership.
Right.
So they do like series, like 2-3 part series,
Right.
and come up with some interesting subjects or something to draw viewers
Right.
during
Topics.
during sweeps. And I was working on everything. Jeannie Blaylock, we were attached at the hip back in my day. She's still there, going strong.
She's
And-
married to a buddy of mine I played softball with
yeah?
at First Baptist. Yeah.
Wow, small world.
Yeah.
But they had me on everything. That's how I evolved into the special projects producer with the Jaguars, with the Channel 12 before I went to the Jaguars.
So it
And
gave you good depth.
It did. And
Because the Jags aren't hiring a slouch. I don't care how nice you are. You got to have skills.
and again, that when they were hiring people, everybody in Jacksonville and around this area of Florida, South Georgia, everybody wanted a job with the Jaguars.
So how do they, I mean, they don't have you come out with your camera and shoot. It's more of an interview process? Or?
Yes. And everybody applied. And what do you think got you the job? Another thing that, oh God, I could go on a half hour on how that happened.
Yeah.
Okay, here's what happens. Just as the Jaguars are awarded this, Jeff's trying to improve his lifestyle,
Yep.
do things for his family.
Yep.
I accepted a job in Atlanta at a news station there. I won't mention that, no
Right.
names,
Right.
because that was kind of a
Right.
crazy
Time.
time as well. So I accepted a job up there, more money, everything.
Right.
And it's not too far. We're not,
Right.
from home and everything. And the wife was mixed emotions about that.
Yeah.
But I said, this is the thing to do. I got to move up in the business world. Then
And in
as-
your industry, you have to move to do that.
yeah,
really.
you got to move to
Whether
do
you're a
that.
news anchor,
'cause
most-
Jacksonville's a
Yeah.
mid-market.
Yeah.
Once you've maxed out here,
Yeah.
you get content with it or you move on. Then the Jaguars come to town. The rumors and the word about in-house production for this sports fiend here, you know. And then word gets through my news director at 12 and the GM at 12 at the time. And they pull me aside and they go, you heard about what's going on at the Jaguars across the street. Channel 12 is right across the street from the stadium.
Oh, well, that's true.
Oh, the logistics and everything. Another one of those moments for me that, you know, you should apply. And I go, yeah, I've been thinking about it, but I already took a job I'm in 2 weeks notice to move to Atlanta. Well, you need to look into that, you know, because I'm the special projects guy at my station. Channel 12 ends up becoming the first flagship station of the Jaguars. Yeah. So it's all like falling into my lap.
They would love to have you in that position.
And, you know, again, I talk of myself as a jack of all trades. Right. You know, I can do it all by myself.
Well, you learn from the ground up.
So I call them, the Jaguar people, and go over to the double wide trailer.
Can everybody call them?
Well, my GM and my news director
That's the relationship building that helps.
Networking.
The networking.
And my reputation, my skills.
There it is.
My skills as a videographer, producer, cameraman.
I mean, you can have the skills, but if you don't have the relationships, you just called. Where I'm sending an email waiting.
They gave me a name and number, and I called. So I'm like, hi, I'm Jeff. I was told to call you folks
You're so humble, Jeff.
For this position you have there. Oh yeah. Can you come over? And I go, yeah, I can come over for lunch. You know, I'm across the street. And you go, okay, we'd love to see you. I get over there. Yada yada yada. You know, we've heard a lot about you.
They've already done their work.
They know who I am, and Channel 12 is saying, this is the guy.
Yeah,
and
we work well with him.
And then of course the key was, and we'll pay you blankety blank, and I'm like, I'm trying to have a poker face, and I go, okay, well, can I get back to you? And while I'm driving back across the street, I'm thinking, oh my God, I got to tell Atlanta I'm not coming. And of course, my wife doesn't want to leave Jacksonville.
Right, she's ecstatic.
We got small children.
Right.
Jordan's not born yet. 2 little girls, and I'm like, oh my God, I got to make a phone call. It was like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I mean, my passion of sports.
Yeah.
And I'm going to work for an NFL team. Are you kidding me?
One of 32.
One of only 32.
Right.
That phone call.
That's not easy.
That wasn't easy.
Yeah.
And I was about as humble and apologetic as I could be, but
you got to do what's good for your family.
Yeah. And that was my bottom line when I talked to the guy up there.
Well, they'll cut you quick in that industry. You've seen it, right?
Well,
the loyalty of?
Yes. And
not that Jacksonville does, because I know other people that are in this industry, and Jacksonville is pretty interesting how there is some loyalty. The Jeannie Blaylocks that have been there forever, but in a lot of industries, they'll flip you in 2 seconds. A lot of markets.
It won't take much for them to cut you. And that conversation was terrible. The guy blew a gasket and literally threatened me.
Lawsuit kind?
No, not that extreme, but to where he would do anything to destroy my name.
You'll never work here. And
yeah, there you go, Dave. You'll never work here. If I have anything to say about it, you're nothing.
Go Jags.
And I was like, I expected you to be upset, but to threaten me?
Yeah.
I mean, what would happen if I, wrecked the news car or broke my camera? Gee whiz, I'm glad I'm finding this out about you now. I don't feel as bad as I did before I made this phone call. So
made it easier.
Made it much easier for me. And of course, the rest is history.
And so you're on the field when the helicopter sets. Are you on the field shooting? Or are you up with the cameras
when
when the Jaguars, when they didn't they have a helicopter that came down on the field
are you
to
are you
announce the
talking about?
Jags, or is that the Bulls?
You're talking about Irsay and the Colts,
Yes,
and they landed a helicopter in the middle of the Gator
they
Bowl.
juked us.
Yeah.
we were supposed to get them, and
Well,
the Colts ended up getting them.
right.
That was before 93, 94, right? That was just a few years back, like 4, 5 maybe.
No, it was longer than that because
I'll have to look. Because, I mean, one night
was I in high school or was I just?
one night we are looking that we are going to have a team, and the next day we wake up and the helicopters landed in the Colts.
Yeah.
And they became the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah.
Sorry, jokers.
Well, it all worked.
It
out.
did. So, you're shooting Florida and everything by now, all the sports.
Yeah, a lot of Friday
Basketball.
night football here in town. That's where I honed my skills as a sports cameraman. Is just shooting tons of local sports. Friday night football, basketball in all the gyms. I've been in every gym in this town.
And then you got to know the players as they were young and up and coming.
Oh my God, yeah.
Could you spot good players? I mean, after so many.
Well, it would be exciting to go to a game knowing that so-and-so's playing so-and-so,
Yeah.
and you knew the gym was going to be packed.
Yeah, the
Stuff
energy.
like that. The energy is
You've
raw.
been around a
It's-
lot of that.
Yeah. a lot of it.
Is the Gator Stadium? Does it feel like it just hangs over on those special moments? It's almost like it gets smaller.
I can't
You're on the
imagine
field.
being the visiting team because, like, when I'm shooting, I'm wearing a headset like
Right.
this, so I'm really focused on my job.
Right.
But every so often, I'll pull the plug off, and I'll hear the deafening sound, of the fans trying to get in the opposing team's head.
What is
And it's loud.
What is your greatest moment that or top 1 or 2, 3? I'll tell you one of mine to sort of get started.
Okay.
The South Carolina kick,
The block kick.
the block kick.
That block kick.
That was one of the loudest. I've been to a lot of Gator games. You could feel it in your chest. We were on the end zone, and we would always sit right where the opposing team's tunnel is. And Spurrier was leaving. Matter of fact, Times Union, you got it wrong. We were not clapping for Spurrier as he left. We were Gator chomping him. And they put in the Times Union that Gator fans were clapping for Spurrier as he left. We were not. I was hanging over the tunnels. We were all Gator chomping him. That place.
That block was huge.
Epic. And then the Florida State years. Oh, let's see. 90.
Ruthless.
Dawn Marie was pregnant. 98 was Zach. Zach was at a game in the belly. And we didn't slow down for her. We parked like a mile and a half away from the stadium. We would walk and
My God.
ask Dawn Marie. She's
Bless her heart.
Yo.
Jeez.
We kept her healthy. And we were there. It was the FSU game where we beat them
Tell
that
me
year.
is that where Dunn came down the sideline right at you?
No, that's where they beat us. I don't want to talk about that one. No, we had beaten them that year. We weren't supposed to, whoever it was. And it was it might have been Tennessee. And it was so loud. Bam just had tightened up so tight in that belly. I think it's where he got the love for the Gators.
Oh my God.
So, but I was always in the stadium. I wasn't there like around the actual athletes and these studs.
My earliest, fondest memory was I was still in school in Gainesville back when there was a carpet on Florida Field. Kerwin Bell.
I forgot about that.
Kerwin
It was.
Bell beats Auburn on a quarterback sneak as time expires
Slow
to beat Auburn, come from behind victory. That was a fond one. I just remember losing our minds in the stands for that one. That was a big one.
So 84.
That was about 84, 86.
So
somewhere
you
in
were there.
80, 45.
So you were there when we won our first SEC championship and it got stripped from us.
Yes.
Our 9-1-1 season.
Galen Hall.
Yes, Galen Hall and his roof and fence and
Yeah.
he had. Oh yeah, we were good though. We had guys that couldn't
That's
read.
like the first time we were
Wilbur Marshall.
good.
Wilbur Marshall was there then. I mean, you're talking Redskins.
Jarvis Wilson.
Oh my gosh.
Jarvis Williams. I mean,
we had never had athletes like that.
No,
I mean,
never.
we were clowned on. I mean, we were what Kentucky used to be, and I mean, it was just we were the bottom of the barrel, and I was a child. You know, I mean, you were going there, and all of a sudden, now you got these athletes. I mean, we didn't know, you know, but Herschel was doing it. You flip a light switch, he gets paid, whatever that old adage is. Now they do it legally. And I am going to stop right here on the NIL. You like it? Do you like what it's doing to college sports?
No,
Yeah.
but I'm slowly coming around because I mean,
There's no going back.
There's no going back,
We got to get a
And-
commissioner.
and you know, the rich get richer.
Yeah.
And you know, in Florida, fortunately, is supposedly one of those
What do you-
schools that
yeah.
I don't know where the money's coming from, but
Have you seen the team they're bringing in this year?
but they're paying out the nose for some quality athletes now. Whether they mesh together and can do it together on the field,
That's going to be the new thing.
that remains to be seen.
Yeah. I
You
mean,
know?
I was telling Dave that we were talking about this the other day. The Syracuse coach quit. The basketball coach, he quit. He said, I can't.
Nick Saban said, "I'm out of here."
He saw it. He saw that thing early.
The Miami basketball coach who quit
The Miami
mid-season.
basketball, that's what
It's Miami and Virginia.
Miami and Virginia. No, the Virginia coach quit. The gray haired, good looking fella. I forget his
Wow,
name.
really?
He just quit.
he just did?
2 weeks ago for the same reason. He said, and he was smiling, sad, but he said, I just not the right guy for this kind of he said, I'm the right guy for this and they're going to do great. But for where this
Sport.
Where the whole thing's going.
NCAA's going, he said, I'm not built for it. And I mean, now you got the first guy that quit, the Miami guy. He says, I'm having to pay $40,000 to sit down with a guy to recruit him. They won't even come. How much you gonna pay me to come see you?
Seeing
That's-
that's the part I have a problem with. For as long as we've been fans,
No.
you know, the mentality of these young athletes is, I want to go to your school. I can do this for you. My stats tell you, you know, this about me, this about me. Now it's flipped. Now it's like, what can you do for me?
The Miami
What-
coach,
You know, I mean, that's the total 180.
he said, listen, we had a great year. And he went and talked to the players, the 5 that were transferring. He goes, do you not like the facilities? No, love it, coach. Do you not love Miami? I mean, like the town? Love it, coach. Love the nightlife. Everything's great. Then why are you leaving? And they went, money.
It's just,
They'll go to South. I'm not saying they went to South Dakota, but
just
wherever they
like
went.
Carson Beck going to Miami now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And so, yet they want us fans to be loyal, you know, while they can bounce in
Yeah.
and out. Tanner Thomas, who, you know, said it well. He said, you know, I follow players now because they sort of busted on me. Both of them jumped on me. I said, well, then why can't I follow Georgia for a couple of years while we're winning national championships? Then I'll switch to Tennessee. And they're like, oh, you can't do that as a fan.
No.
See, listen.
No. See,
Now listen.
fair weather fucks. Jesus. That's pitiful. That's pitiful, man. God. You know what? I mean, even as a kid, my mom bought me a number 7 John Reeves jersey at Pick and Save. And I wore that till the sleeves and everything started falling off it. So that you know, that was my destiny. Thank God, you know, they paid for me to go to school there one day, but no, you wishy-washy fucks. Forget it. That bugs me about people
It does.
who will argue with me tooth and nail, whether you're, you know, school, Georgia, FSU, whatever. But you don't have any alliance to that school. That's just your bandwagon for the moment. Forget
Oh,
it.
that is so true.
Don't talk to me.
That was funny. Gosh.
I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize. I just don't know if I ever get to see Jeff riled up.
Oh God, I don't do that.
That was
do I?
fun. I'm
Okay.
gonna do more of that. That was good. Anyways, no,
Sorry.
it was needed. Listen, they were thinking about jumping bandwagons, and with what you just said, they ain't doing it. All right. So the Jags. No, we were still doing the best memories. So I've got the Auburn one.
Yeah,
I've got the
I
South
got-
Carolina.
South Carolina. When we beat Tennessee just a few years ago on the
Oh yes,
the
pass.
the pass,
Oh, my
and then
gosh.
and then
and he spun around.
and
Yep.
and I can't remember
Who
the
was it?
receiver now.
Callaway
scored the touchdown,
Callaway.
but a receiver took out 2 would-be tacklers.
Yep.
What a great block.
I mean, what a block.
it wouldn't
What a
have
block.
happened without it.
It wouldn't have. It would have.
Who was? I can see the. Had we kept him at QB?
Greer.
Yes,
He was a stud.
he was it.
But
How can Florida? How can any? I mean, it. There are so many quarterbacks out there now. It has to come to the AD eventually. In any school, let's get off of Florida. Any school, you got to start dealing with. I mean, this is now you talking about making money. Here's what irritates me about the NIL is when you go buy your ticket now, there's a talent fee on there.
really,
Oh yeah, that $15 talent fee, $10 talent fee, $20 talent fee. So it's not the billionaire graduates that are putting the money in. Now maybe at SMU it is. Isn't that funny how fast they jumped up?
isn't it?
Because what they were allowed, I mean, they're the only school to ever get the death penalty in football.
Yeah. Pony
And-
Express.
Yeah, the pony. Oh my gosh, what about Eric Dickerson? Right,
Yeah.
Eric Dickerson
And James. Yeah, they were good back then.
So so I'm gonna speed up a little bit. Basketball. What about basketball? You got any? I mean, the back-to-back championships. You were right there.
Another one of those moments where I'm in the right place at the right time and something just
They
coming
all know
through.
you by name, right?
The who?
Most of the ball. I mean, there's pictures. You
Oh,
get pictures with
me and,
everybody.
Me and Will Richard right now. That's my boy right there. He's we dap each other up every home game. You know, we'll come over. I'll give him a little hug. I'll go, Ben, be great today, buddy. Great game last week. You know, way to be. You know, so and so. So that's my boy right now. Used to be Michael Frazier a couple of years back. Where's he? I think he's overseas now playing. But you know, I bleed orange and blue. You know, and yeah, they pay me to run a camera, but
Could you sit underneath in basketball? You're underneath the goal, right?
well, I was until
The
recent,
shoulder. Oh, okay, right,
Until recent, because right now I'm not cleared to
right.
put the camera
Is that killing you?
on my shoulder yet. Well, I'm still getting healthy.
Yeah. But you started about 4 or 5 years ago, really changing your body and lifestyle, didn't you?
I'm 63 years old,
Yeah.
and I really am too old to be doing what I'm doing or what I
Yeah.
was doing prior to my
That's
heart
a
attack.
heavy camera. I don't think people realize.
It's about 25 pounds. I mean, it varies depending
Yeah.
on who I'm working for.
But it's the moving
kinda-
and the right and the
no,
run
it's just carrying it on your shoulder
and dragging
for 2, 3, sometimes 4 hours.
that wears
You
you
know,
out.
it wears you out, and most guys my age have given that part of it up.
Yeah.
And
Do you lose a little? Like, so the reason you don't want to give it up is, do you lose a little bit of the in the moment with the players on the field?
Most definitely. I mean, to be so close, you can smell the Bengay on them.
That's what I'm talking
know,
about.
the
You
icy
hear the
hot.
arguments.
And you hear the pads.
What's the loudest clack you've ever heard in football? And that may be a random.
Oh,
There may be others,
If
but
it
the one you
happens, if
remember.
it happens in front of me, right there on the sideline, I mean, these guys are going 110 miles an hour.
They're muscle.
Fearless, and then the shocking thing is they get up from a collision like that is like, it's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah.
It really is. you know.
So were your best years then the basketball? Well, I guess when Gators were winning championships in basketball and football.
Okay, I remember it was when I started working down in Gainesville, like on a regular basis
Yeah.
for Gator Vision is their production company down there in house. I started right as Joe Kim, Al Hortford,
Oh,
and all
really?
them are all there. My first 2 years on Gator Vision staff was their back-to-back. So again,
So you're spoiled rotten.
I am, and I don't normally yap about all this stuff
Yeah.
like I am doing for you.
I know.
But I'm here thinking, man, this is cool.
Yeah.
National championships, SEC, man, this is great. And yeah, I'm humble
Yeah.
about it because, like I said, I don't talk about this stuff all the
Yeah.
time. But, every day I walk in there and I look up at those banners of the back-to-backs and I just go, count my blessings
You were there for every part of it.
for how long I've been doing this and to be where I am doing what I do.
Because everybody in that auditorium that's in production. And these are your friends.
Things change, people change,
They
move on
do.
and stuff like that. But
How do you stay relevant?
I'm just respectful. I work hard, and
You grind.
and I just grind. I mean, there are a couple of guys. Shout out to Eddie and Ronnie Bates that I've been doing this as long as they have. But everybody else around us is a youngin.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them are UF students
Yeah.
cutting
Like
their
you
teeth,
were.
cutting their teeth like I did way back in the mid '80s.
And ultimately coming for your jobs. There's only so many jobs.
Yes, they are. I battle with some of them for these gigs that I
Yeah.
get on because sometimes I don't get hired for whatever it may be, and one of them got the job instead. It's humbling,
Yeah.
but I put all that in God's hands.
Yeah.
I'll get my share.
And you start to find maybe a way to adapt as you grow in age, and like some of the others, is maybe even acknowledging, okay,
Yes.
I'm on the swinging. What are the big cameras that you don't have to?
I call it the big box lens where you stand behind it, and
Yeah.
it's got a big long lens and a viewfinder up here, and you just zoom and focus.
How often are you on how often do they use your camera to be on screen? Do you ever need to go search for your friends? Always wondered this.
In commercials.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
well, there's also sponsored paid things where in a commercial break, the director and mayor will say, "Okay, hey, we got to pay off Domino's Pizza right now.
Right.
Look for the cheerleaders or look for Albert over here
Right.
giving out free pizza." And then so we're not on air, and I'll zoom and I'll search, or if I have friends or family,
Right.
I'll look for them and I'll say, "Oh, okay, they're my kids. Hey, Casey, get my kids on TV here. Next time you need fans, okay?"
That's awesome.
And they'll go, "Okay, Jay. All right, we got you."
It does make our day. There's no doubt about it.
Those big
You said
jumbotron screens.
When you said the power of the camera,
That's
you can
power.
feel it, right?
It's power.
You're not. They don't see you. It's that camera. They know what that camera represents.
And what I love most in football are the fans, because bigger stadium, bigger screens, whether it's and the fans are savvy too, because they'll go, that guy is putting them up there, so they're
Yeah.
clamoring and screaming for attention. And the more visual,
Yeah.
it's easy to just focus and
Right.
shoot them. And then the director, now I have no control whether
Right.
they get up there or not, but the director, if he sees animation or sees a crazy fan,
Right.
he'll put
'Cause
them
it's
up
gonna
there,
get up there,
and
right.
and that makes their whole day.
Right. Do you feel like are we going to semi-pro ball to where we're going to have a commissioner and all that? I guess that's where we are now.
I don't know.
What's your favorite sport to shoot?
Oh God, you want me to pick one?
I know. Okay, so top 3
Football,
or just rank them.
Ultimately, football, although that's the most physical and demanding.
Is it because of
do.
the energy or just the?
In the ground you have to cover.
Yeah.
Normally I'm working a sideline or the end zone, and I got to hustle with that 25-pound camera.
And be in the right spot. You
And
got
I
to know
gotta-
where they're going to
and
throw
I-
a post
and I-
corner or a.
Well, that comes with the experience. If a team is driving towards you, I know the spot where I'm more likely to get a good angle
From a couple
of
different.
a play.
Gotcha.
And and I learned early on, I don't follow the cattle call of cameras.
Right.
I do my own thing, and wherever I think is the ideal spot for me to be, so that I'll get a good angle, that's where I'm going to go. And I've shot so much football, especially in my 11 years with the Jaguars.
How do you not cheer while you're shooting? I mean, like,
When I first graduated from Florida, and I was still a student, and I remember the first big play that I got that was a touchdown. I lost my mind. I was like, ah! And the camera's doing this, and I'm screaming out of the top of my lungs, and I go, Jeff, you can't do that, man. You got to calm down. You got to calm down because you're capturing video. You're live. Oh, I'm sorry. And so early on, you learn once the play's over and they're off your shot, off your camera, then I can lose my mind. I might go.
Do opposing teams hate that you get excited as well?
Well, no, they're not really studying me.
Okay.
They're not, and that's just my own little moment for me to be a fan.
Gotcha.
When we're not on air.
Gotcha.
Or they're not on my shot.
So, I mean, you shoot a lot of baseball too, right?
Baseball's the most intricate. I mean, all the sports, everybody, is kind of doing the same thing, following the same ball.
Right.
But baseball is different in that depending on which camera you're on, you may be shooting something that's totally unrelated to the picture and the ball being put on play.
Because you can't track a ball fast enough with a camera, so you almost got to be.
You learn, and we call that shagging.
Oh, really?
And depending on your camera angle, like here lately, I'm usually first or third base dugout, and that's my favorite position because
you get to hear the chatter.
I can see the team right there, but normally, and I'm usually on a batter in the batter's box. But then when the ball's about to be pitched, I pull out, zoom out wide, and I'm in a shag position where if the ball's put in play, I can push to like an infield grounder.
Right.
I'm more likely to track the shortstop or the second baseman fielding it than throwing to first without being too herky-jerky.
Do they give y'all, and this is a little more technical, but I'm just curious, do they give y'all like parameters in baseball? Like, hey, you cover, like if you're on first base line, obviously you're not going to get as close of a look up near your dugout, so that'd be third base line covering that.
That's why the first and third base guys, their responsibilities mirror each other.
Gotcha.
So it's mirrored, and he'll shoot opposite of me, and depending on who's on base, where the base runners are, he'll get that shot or I'll get that shot and stuff like that. Runners rounding third, scoring, that's usually one of my responsibilities too. So
how many cameramen? I mean, all together, even
6 minimum for baseball.
For baseball, football is a lot.
A lot.
I mean, you're talking about
a lot.
20.
Well, depending on.
I mean, not all.
It's funny, like network.
Yeah.
We'll call them like A/B crews,
right,
and stuff like that. So if the Jaguars are playing the Titans, it may be a 9-12 camera, but then if the Chiefs are playing the Ravens, a few more. Well, there may be double.
Well, one's going to be on the girl. Who is the singer?
Taylor Swift.
Taylor.
Man, come on, stop.
Guess what? We're usually on those games because there's so many cameras.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if there was one guy
just
dedicated to staring at Taylor all game.
I mean, she gets 7 to 10 shots. Aaron Rodgers gets less close-ups than she does.
You can pay me to track Taylor all day.
She is cute.
Because that's some good money.
And that's some great football. Though, I mean, the athlete, you're on the field with them. You see the speed. I mean, we see it in the stands, but you're watching them. I mean, you're feeling them go by, warming up. You're hitting the clack of the pads. I mean, obviously the athletes are bigger and faster and stronger, but they're smarter. They grow faster. And I'm not talking about like just physical, but the mental side. And I think it's because they start so early now. I mean, University Christian has a Pee-wee league. I may be butchering this a little bit, but they have their own set of a league that then sort of runs the same offenses that the junior high and the high school runs.
These small town county high schools.
Yeah,
I know they start them young,
absolutely,
and they're bringing them up so that they're ready for high school.
Fleming Island tried it
when they get there.
They just couldn't get their stuff together. They had too many yuppies in there and helicopter parents.
So, I was one of those.
You weren't a helicopter parent. No, you were. No, you were. We were involved, but you were a coach a lot of years.
I miss those days.
Yeah,
I mean, I knew enough to be dangerous as a coach.
I'm going back here. I don't know when Zach's done, probably. And I know I'm not going to be traveling as much. I'm going to go back to coaching like that 12 to 14-year-old, that 11 to 13, that special,
I just remember when Jordan was 8U.
Yeah.
And I didn't like a thing that coach was doing with my kid. And
I saw a lot of that.
And I just thought, I can coach at this age. I know enough to be dangerous.
Well,
I threw my hat in the ring, and I did it until the boys got to senior high.
Well, that's when I first. Now other people knew you, but I didn't know you until we were playing against y'all with Storm, I think, or something.
Oh yeah.
And y'all had a stud team. Marshall was on that team, I believe, and J.I. and his swag was just incredible. I love that guy. So
those, oh my God, those are the days.
Does he represent you in a lot of ways when you see him walking around?
Who, Jordan?
Yeah. I mean, your style. I mean, did you have you like putting clothes on and clothes together? And I do. I don't mind mixing and matching.
He's early on, little did I know how much
now he's run with it.
Influence I had on, because he's his own little man. He's his own man now.
And he's now in this industry, and we'll get into that later. But he's with, and feel free to say who he's with.
Yeah, AEW Wrestling.
Yeah, I mean he's traveling around with.
He works for Tony Khan. Signs his checks.
That's pretty cool. Out of nowhere. I mean, if for first few years, I mean, he pulled line for you for a while, but I don't know that you really thought. Because neither one of my kids are getting in my business. They've seen entrepreneurship. They want no part of that, the ups and downs of that. But yours is a very competitive field. And how did he get into AAW? AAW, right?
Even AEW.
AEW.
All Elite Wrestling.
Yeah. Thank you.
When he was in high school, I got him into the TV program at Fleming
That's
Island.
right. Okay. Before they became the banking one.
Yeah. Before the banking.
Yeah.
And it was a way to get Jordan to hang with his boys, the day ones.
Yeah.
So I thought, well, maybe this will rub off on him, because in the beginning he wasn't interested. I'd always talk to him about my business, and he was like, Dad, yeah. And then as he became a senior, I started asking him, hey, why don't you come pull cable for me? They'll pay you a little money, and you can you just hang out. It was like, very little of the quality time I had left with him at that, that stage. And the money was the motivator.
Yeah.
You go, okay, I'll do it. And
but you got an hour and a half ride with him to chit chat, and an hour and a half ride back, and then y'all would go to ball games straight from and straight to.
For as many people as Jeff's met, I mean, seeing J.I.'s picture with all of those athletes when he was younger is pretty cool too.
And now that he's touring the country, there's no off season for wrestling.
No,
it goes all year round. That's a grind.
Yes,
I couldn't do what he's doing right now.
Yeah, but
he's bouncing around, and at these venues that these shows are put up in, all kinds of celebrities. I can't even pronounce that guy's name, but they're wrestling fans too, and he'll see them backstage, and he'll get pictures with.
He got that from you.
NBA legends, NFL, rap artists.
But now you're discounting you. So you got your picture taken from your dad.
Yes.
Coming through high school, you spoiled us. I mean, we had so many pictures of our kids. And I don't know if you know this, but I've told this story on the podcast before. Because of you ruined us. And I went to college, and here's Zach and JUCO, and I think it was the first game, and I'm like, I got one picture on my little camera, and I was like, this is sort of how this started. And then I
Because I remember when you went and bought your camera.
bought my first camera, and I didn't buy that. I bought the one where you had to time it. And so I got really good at timing. And so I
Good for you.
I started taking pictures of Zach. Well, I don't like hanging out with parents and sports fans. They whine way too much in high school, and
Yeah.
And we talked about that as well. So I started taking pictures of all the kids, and I would roam around, and it let me get into areas. Every now and then a coach would push me away, but most of the time I could get away from everybody and have a dip and watch baseball and just get in the moment,
Right.
And because I was blessed at that time, I was traveling a lot, and I didn't miss one of Zach's JUCO's games, wherever it was, Alabama, out in Delta. I was able to.
I made a couple of trips up to Valdosta.
You absolutely did. And and so I started posting all those pictures. I take like 300-400 pictures.
Yeah.
I started posting, like you did in high school. So I started posting them all on a Facebook page, which is still up. And I was so amazed at my timing. I would get what you love to do, the moment where the ball's right there, the guy's sliding in, and I got it where it's right before the glove. And mine was a lot of a timing thing. And I
learn.
Yeah, and I got to know the ball players, and I literally it's not like I was running around coaching guys, but every now and then I was close with some of them. Their swing would be off, and I knew their timing, and I'd be taking a picture, and all of a sudden their arm would be lagging or their elbow would be dropping. I didn't run over there. I mean, Ross would have punched me in the nose, but I could catch them after the game, or we'd all go out to eat, me and the boys sometimes, and I'd show them some of the pictures, and I guess before video, because JUCO doesn't do video, studies the way they do nowadays, so.
Those are
So
good
because
times.
of you, and all the parents loved it. Then I thought
I
of
love
you.
doing it, man.
They would thank me, and I would always say this: don't thank me, thank Jeff Imperial. He spoiled us rotten in high school, and it is a lot of fun. I saw why you did it. I used to always, because I went on 4 years then from Valdosta State.
Well, you learn these kids. They become part of your family,
And you get in the game more.
parents, and it's just a labor of love, man.
Yeah.
And sharing.
Yeah.
Because they'll all more than I don't know how many always thank me later.
But you have such a so you personally, you have such a tender spirit, and I don't mean that like weak. I mean tenderness is a strength in my opinion. But you have a tender spirit. Where did that come from?
My parents
Both?
again. Well, Dad was the disciplinarian, but Mom was I call her my angel.
Yeah.
I've never met a sweeter, more tender-hearted person in my whole life than my mom. So I guess that's where I get it from, because she was that type of person.
It seems to have been passed on to your family. I mean, I think that's a compliment to you, and I think you do. What I've known about you is you speak in action. I mean, you talk a lot like me, but you know everybody, and I don't. Unlike me, I don't know that you have that many enemies. And in my world,
I hope not.
yeah, well, I do. Okay, and that's sort of what this journey is about too. Is there's another gentleman? Well, you know him because of his son, Mel Seibold. I don't know if you know. Okay, so I'm gonna bring him on. He used to be a raging. I'm like, rah, just go off on people. Right? Who would
Really?
think? That's what I want to know how he went from that to who I've known. In passing, I'm not friends with him. We're friends. He helped me buy a house. He's in the mortgage business, and I've seen him deal with the SBA with mine. There was so much stress, and he was so chill about it.
Wow.
And some people were really pissed off at him, and he wasn't offended by it, and he just flowed with it. And things you would do where I would be like, "What'd you say?" And let's just deal with it direct, and that's not always the best way to be.
Right.
And so, we talk about Marshall and them. Marshall, here's a man that is a major leader in his industry,
Yes.
in the hospital world. And the way he carries himself, is with confidence, but there's a calmness
Very.
to him, and there's a tenderness to him.
Calm, yeah.
Am I
Unless
off
you
on
know
that?
him, no.
Yeah.
Unless you know him.
But if you saw him
well.
from over there, you'd think he's a Billy Badass, thinks he's all that.
Exactly.
But once you get in underneath, you
Right.
realize that's not who he is. That's just what people perceive him as.
That's a solid individual, that man.
Yeah. And so you recently, the last 3-4 years, and I know I'm getting to your health now and personal, you went through something here recently that can be life altering. Would you call it?
I'm still altering. I'm still comprehending
Yeah.
what I've been through.
Where did it come from? I mean, was it just a lifetime of eating or
For anybody, for all the people out there listening, mid-October, I had a episode. I was walking to work and had my my briefcase satchel on one arm and my lunch in my other hand, and I just walked from the parking garage at my day job to my office. And I got to my office and I was in a cold sweat, and I knew something was wrong. I didn't do nothing right then. I just sat there at my desk, and within, half hour, everything would calm down. But I knew something was wrong. I said, that's never happened before. And I sit at a desk at a computer with a mouse all day long. So I wasn't doing any moving around. The end of the day, 5 o'clock rolls around, and I'm thinking, let's see if this happens again. Walking to the car, same thing again. And it wasn't like I had a pain on my left, like usually that's a telltale sign
right?
of a heart attack or something. Excuse me.
Yeah, right.
I had a sore right shoulder, and that's part of my life in my business, because carrying the camera.
Yeah.
And when I do too much work, that shoulder aches from time to time. In
Yeah.
fact, the before this Wednesday afternoon, I remember telling my wife, I don't know why my shoulder's killing me. She puts the massage gun
Sure.
on me, rubs the icy hot on.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, this will help. This will help. It really didn't help. And then, of course, this episode on a Wednesday, before I got in my car to drive home, I call Wayne Marshall
Yeah.
because he works at the hospital I work at, and he's a big deal.
Yeah.
VP of Trauma 1.
Yeah.
I said, hey, Wayne, I'm having this. This happened this morning, and this just happened now. He goes, where are you? I go, I'm in the parking garage. You're not okay. I want you to go to the emergency room. And I don't mind sharing the story because I've told it 100 times already. But, it's the importance of, if you got something going on, don't ignore it. I know nobody.
Listen to your body.
Listen to your body. Nobody wants to see a doctor or go to the doctor.
Yeah.
Even the dentist, we all play that off for whatever reason. But if something out of the ordinary, you got to look out for you, because nobody else will. And in this case, Wayne said, can you get to the emergency room? Don't go home. I said, yeah, I can get over there. He says, okay, I'll make a phone call. And I said, all right. And bada bing, bada boom, within 36 hours, they were going in through my wrist to
Doing a cath.
to the cath lab.
Is that
to-
what you're looking at doing?
Mm-mm.
To the cath lab to explore. Number one, if you got blockage, we'll handle it. Number two scenario, if you need a stent or a balloon, we'll take care of it. Number three, you got some serious problems and we may have to open heart.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I drew number three, and I've got the tracks now. I'm, like I said, a little over 3 months post, and it all happened like that. And I had blockage to where a stent or a balloon.
Is it hereditary?
Yes,
Okay.
because I had no warning signs leading up to this. It wasn't like for a month, I was something and I was ignoring it.
And
I work, I work out because of what I do is physical.
Yeah.
So I try to stay in some resemblance of shape,
yeah.
cardio wise, just doing what I can to keep up with the youngins who are trying to take my job. So and work was fine. It wasn't like, there are weekends when I do too much and Jeff, slow down a little bit.
Is it frustrating not doing what you've always done now, though? You're in a holding pattern right here.
Yeah.
And uncertainty because they love your job. Now
there's
somebody's at that camera right now.
Yes.
The uncertainty of life.
My last Jaguar game was the Jets in the first half of the season, and I had to watch the rest of the season.
They probably started losing because you weren't there.
No
I
comment. No comment on the Jaguars. I love the Jaguars.
All they can do is bring you back, and you're gonna be good.
Well, it's
You
it's
live
an
by faith, though.
and that's what's keeping me from losing my mind.
Yeah.
Because every once in a while anxiety creeps in. Like, will I ever do what I'm doing again? What I love, my passion. Like I said, most of the guys my age aren't doing what I do, but I do it because I can't see myself doing anything else.
Okay, two things. I love this spot right here. Two things. And I believe this wholeheartedly. I've lived this personally. It may not work for y'all. You figure it out. Anything negative that is spoken in my mind in that angle that you just mentioned is not of my Heavenly Father. There's no way. Because he doesn't come to bring doubt and fear and anguish. And yet it'll sound like that wisdom that I'm coming from. I have to be so careful with that. My part for me is to do the very best I can to be prepared and then to be willing to accept whatever consequence comes. I mean, I was sitting there at 44, and you may not know my whole story, but at 40, I was around y'all. Y'all didn't know what was going on. I mean, at 44, I'd lost everything due to no fault of my own. And I'm pulling up to Fleming Island, looking at my house, and I lived below my means, but it was still a nice means. And I'm going, I can't pay my bills next month, and there's no money in the bank. I remember going, all right, Lord, now what you going to do? And you be careful when you say that. I got into roofing, and that roofing exploded, and I sold millions in roofing. I didn't make millions, but I sold millions in roofing, which made me a very good living, which allowed me to pay everything off and get out of debt and get some funds in and that's where this building came from. And it was all a miracle. And I knew it would be a short time. I knew it wouldn't last forever.
For practical purposes, what I do on my freelance side, aside from the hospital, other than being my labor of love, it pays the bills.
Yeah.
It gives us, the opportunity to take a nice summer vacation, stuff like that. But, the adjustment I'm going through now and that I'm in a holding pattern. I mean, I'll be honest. They say that a year from now, my heart should be better than it was.
Yeah.
So, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, why can't I go back to what I was doing?
Yeah.
But again, I'm trusting in God and His destiny for me, so that whatever He decides, I'll know.
Yeah.
I'll know. And if that part, sitting on the sidelines underneath the basket, goes away, I'll accept whatever.
There's a
whatever comes
memoir in
my way.
this with all the pictures you have of all the famous athletes you've met. There's a memoir in this. I mean, you have a lot of stories. You have relations. I mean, Fred Taylor, I'm not saying y'all go out to dinner every day, but if he sees you, he knows you by name.
Yeah.
He doesn't know me by name. That is really cool. And it's not just, you're the guy shooting the camera. He knows J.I. He probably picked him up when he was little. Baselli, Burnell. I mean, J.I. was running around the field with these guys as they're warming up, and you're there. And I mean,
yeah, those guys are. I mean, I can call them friends.
They're friends.
They're friends of mine. So
They're friends.
that's really huge, and it warms my heart whenever I see them. And,
Jimmy Smith.
They still call me by name.
I mean, Jimmy, Hall of Famers.
Years later, they're Jeff, how you doing, man? What's up?
Yeah.
So, but that's really cool. I remember the day Fred Taylor was drafted and he came into the stadium. We're doing his first interview with Hicken, and just this unassuming guy, just excited to be in the NFL. This huge.
Who sportscasters? Who have you worked around? Who have you shot the most of? Hicken or?
Well, Hicken and I came up together. I mean, we went to Florida together.
Oh, okay. I guess I should have known that. Okay.
So he, he and I are brothers, literally, and and I got to work with him at Channel 12 for my time there, and we were in Chicago when the team was announced
He's
together.
a trip.
That guy is.
He is, but he stays relevant. He's changed with the times because sports casting has changed. I mean, ESPN changed everything when they came out, and Dan and Prosser, when they get together, that's been years now, what, decade plus now. But when they get together, listening to him, I don't catch as much early morning radio anymore. But listening to him, just be himself. Just that sarcastic. You can tell he just poke, and he'll pick at people. But he knows his business, and it's just fun to watch him.
Institution, and
he's been here for, I mean, his whole career. Jacksonville's done a really good job of keeping news anchors in town for not being a really big market, and it wasn't. And I knew some of them, and I'm not talking about the young lady you mentioned, but it wasn't always financial. Yeah, they made good living, but they didn't make as much as they could at some of the bigger markets, and people stayed. I think it was almost that camaraderie y'all had.
Oh, yeah. I mean, working with those people, and a common interest for sports and everything.
A passion. It's not even an interest. You got to, I mean, you see them more than you see your family.
Yes.
I mean,
there was a time when, that was definitely true.
Yeah.
Definitely true.
Was your bride working then as well? Or was she more, I mean, always working at stay at home.
She was working for Johnson & Johnson here in town.
So she's working, you're working.
Yeah.
And your daughters, did they go to Sandalwood as well?
Oh, no. They went to school here in Clay County, Orange Park.
Oh, that's right. Okay, good.
And Jordan went to Fleming.
So baseball, who's the biggest guy you've been around at Florida in baseball?
Oh, that would be Jack Caglione, who's now who was a first-round pick for the Royals.
Yes.
In fact, that's another one of those guys where little head knob, dapping each other up, pat on the back. And, he's going to be a superstar. An
absolute
superstar. He just mashes balls.
What about this 8-footer? Have you been around him much since you've been out a little bit?
Saturday for the God, who we played this Saturday?
The tournament they were just in.
No, all the games run together, but he walked right by. He walked right by Saturday, and I'm like, my God.
He's going to make 8 foot before he gets out of Florida.
And he hasn't played yet. I read he was redshirting.
Yep.
But
smart.
I don't know if he's grown into his body yet because he just looks like he's lumbering. In the SEC, it's fast, it's physical, and everything. So,
but we've never seen an 8-footer.
I hope he plays if next year.
I think I was telling Dave. I think the one thing that may help him too is Shaq's daughter goes to Florida. So he spends a lot of time down there.
Shaq was there yesterday for the women's game.
Did you see that?
I heard he was there, and I kept looking. It was one of those, in the timeout, and he was sitting in a row by the media folks. But he had some protection, and company. So
Shaq, I'm gonna tell you, I don't know the guy, but you can tell. You've seen enough athletes in life. I mean, this man's a billionaire. And he carries himself very well, and he loves kids, and he was grounded by family. I'm not crazy about the guy, because of what he did in Orlando. I hated him the minute he left. I had his shoe. I had one of his shoes. I threw it away. I mean, I was a diehard. Because basketball was my love, and I was a diehard Magic fan. I'd go down there and watch. And when they drafted him and Penny Hardaway got there, I was like, this is it.
They were good.
They were good.
Back then.
Yeah. Good. You think that have you ever thought about teaching what you do?
Well, when we mentioned earlier about Oklahoma, Dave,
and
that workshop down there where I learned skills about what I do, and it really moved my career to a different level. They invited me back a few years later. Can't remember how long, but I was actually part of their faculty for a few years, and that's why I got ties to Norman, Oklahoma, and teaching down there. So they had me tell my story, how I was sitting right where you guys are, a few years ago, and look at me now. They wanted me to tell that kind of story, and
because Jeff,
that was fun. I mean I owed that to them, so I was glad to do that.
Well, let me help a little bit from a guy looking outside to your career. I would want you coming and talking to people. You have done things and been around people, celebrities and athletes that we get to watch on TV, and you have a personal relationship with these people. That's pretty cool on a human relationship, not on. There's no monetary gain they're getting from you. So for them to spend that kind of time with you, I don't know. I think it says a lot about you. And as long as I've known you and watching you interact with people, you just have a demeanor of you care, you give a damn. And I've always, that old adage that people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I think you build deep, long-lasting relationships. And I'm intrigued by that because I don't think I do. And I mean, even the day oneers, I'm always gone when y'all take the pictures. I forget because I'm in and then I'm out. I got other things to do. I'm gonna go, saw y'all, see ya. And I don't go hang out. Even with George, and I just, it's just never been, I've caught lunch once or twice. I need to do more of it.
Yeah.
But when you lose everything at 44 and you have to build it back within a 7-year span to catch back up to everybody, and I'm not saying the Joneses, but to get to where you have some kind of it was I think you and I had lunch around that time. I was scrambling.
Yeah.
And
I remember you telling me you went out for lunch with Jeff.
yeah, I think it was right before this. I was running with all the gangsters, trying to do Orange Crush, and the roofing had taken off, but the money hadn't come rolling in yet.
I remember that time, and I didn't realize
It was
what you were going through.
Oh yeah, and my kids didn't, and because they're gonna eat. I mean, listen, I'll go dig ditches, man. I have no ego, when it comes to what it would take to feed my family, but I also live below my means. So if ever, something bad does happen, thank God we put money aside because we weathered the whole time we were playing like at Fleming Island. We were living on savings because I was to build things, you got to throw out every penny you got in it, And when you got the SBA involved, they won't let you get to the money you got. That's a whole nother story, the SBA. Oh, they won't. They're ruthless. Ruthless. United Community, you suck. I'll have a say so one day. Sorry about the bird, guys, and everybody's watching Jeff and everything. So, anyways, welcome to All About the Grind. I do not like unethical people. That's where I sort of draw the line, and so I've always been very careful who I've let in my circle. And it was just anytime you come around, it is hard not to just smile, because you bring an energy. And then to watch your next generation. And that's what's going to be fun about this. Y'all will be the first generation, second generation that sits at All About the Grind. And I'll have, questions about his life because he is a man in and of himself and has done, that's not daddy building what he's doing. That's a man that learned through dad, who learned through your family. And so this third generation. And this man's pulling line with you, and now he's rubbing elbows and knows how to, I think, more from you than you might realize.
I hope so because all I can do is be an example to him, and I don't see him day in, day out. Where is he? Just came back from Cincinnati.
Yeah, but the teaching time's done.
Yeah, it is.
And you did,
it is.
The most I'm telling you, after 8 years old, it's scientific. This isn't me. 85%, I think. Y'all look it up on your own, but I believe it's 85% of who you are as a human is already developed. So the times that you're shooting and J.I. was running around that field and you're engaging humans, whether it be at your job or traveling somewhere else or having other ball players or talking to parents, he's watching you every minute of every day.
He is, even though I thought he wasn't.
He absolutely is. And he has your demeanor. When I come and he dabs me up, there is that energy that you carry. And that it's a special energy, and not everybody carries this kind of an energy that can engage people with empathy, not sympathy, but true empathy. A true caring of where someone is in a day. You just don't get that in this world anymore.
Thanks. That warms my heart.
Well, I think that's why so many people call you. You're good at what you do. There's a million guys good at what you do, and there's younger people, but when they deal with that smart mouth once or twice. And they remember Jeff, there may be an edge. And sure, there comes a day for all of us where, I'll be done with what I'm doing. And maybe it'll be this, and maybe it'll be public speaking, and maybe it'll be writing a book. I think we just keep pushing ourselves into the uncomfortable. And that's what a lot of this was about. We had no idea how to run the equipment before you got here. We couldn't get the sound working, and I think the last 4 times we've had
Every time there's one thing that goes wrong every time,
and
but we're
it,
learning.
and we get it fixed, and we learn something new every day.
I'm impressed with you guys, man.
Well, thank you.
this
Soon
is
we'll have 3 cameras. Soon we'll have one there and we'll have one here, so that it'll be, and then it'll get real funky.
Cut shots, like
Yes.
single shots.
Yes, yeah. So I'm impressed with you.
Let me know. I'll help you.
I
You know,
absolutely
whatever
will.
2 cents I can give you guys.
Well, you have a lot more than 2 cents. You thank you for bringing what you bring to the world, and I mean that, and to the grind, because I want people to see kind-hearted people that can dig in and grind. You know,
Like you mentioned earlier, that God has His hands. He has the ultimate say in everything, and because I've lived my life that way, thank God for my parents, because I didn't know any better, and I'm just a reflection of them, and I really don't lose sleep at night. I mean, we all have our problems.
sure.
I mean, I got a real one right here,
Right.
but I don't lose sleep over it because I'm going to trust in Him that He's gonna guide my way, whether I put that camera on my shoulder again or not.
There'll be another door that opens.
There've always been doors for me, and it's because of Him.
I'm just watching him, how good he's doing after it's making me feel better about having mine done.
Yeah, because you're going to have open heart, right?
Yeah, no, I have to because I don't have enough calcium built up to hold the valve in place without them stitching it in.
So yeah,
Dave, if I can leave you with anything, like I said, this just blindsided me, and for where I am now, I got a constant reminder. I wake up in the morning, wash my face, brush my teeth,
and you see the
and I
choo-choo
see it.
tracks.
Yep.
I can't ignore it, but everything's gone smoothly for me, and I'm trying to do everything they say.
Yeah.
I'm still on medications. I've got like 6 or 8 bottles that I pop every morning. Blood pressure, blood thinners, and stuff like that. So far so good. I'm just trying not to be stupid and do something I shouldn't be doing it, even though I feel like I feel good.
Yeah.
And modern medicine is amazing because my dad had open heart in 2000, and he lived another 14 years. But in 2000, the technology
Right.
wasn't what it was.
Right.
And I vividly remember the struggles my dad went through. Even afterwards, he suffered.
Yeah.
I mean, the way I remember it, and and it just wasn't the same. So when this was sprung on me out of nowhere, that's all I had to lean on.
Yeah.
Was what he went through, and I was young, and that part, made me nervous.
Yeah.
But it's gone smoothly so far, and I'm just
Staying active is important. Staying moving is
They
important.
say that benefited me.
Yep.
Prior to that,
No
that I
doubt.
was working too much for my age, going to the gym and everything.
Yep. Flexibility, all that kind of
I don't know
stuff.
about flexibility,
Yeah.
but
getting into it, it has made
yeah.
it help. I can tell my blood flow is just different when I stretch right. And Zach got me into that. I roll on the racquetball at night on my butt, which helps my lower back. It's
Lacrosse
weird.
ball.
Look, sorry, I always say this.
You do it every time.
Every time. Lacrosse ball. And it's so hard. You can use a softball, a baseball. You can use a tennis ball. It hurts. It's not fun. I was doing it because we sit down so much. I do it before we sit down to help my lower back because I got rear-ended, and so that's why I'm always moving my back. I've gotten a little better. These chairs are better. But yeah, we only get one body, and I've been carrying furniture and snatching furniture my whole life, and so I'm very careful, with how I take care of this body now as I dip. I say I take care. I gotta do bullshit, man. How many of these? Everybody else better be as honest as me.
Yeah.
The old bullshit meter. I dip. Come on, I'm gonna get lip cancer. What an idiot. I know, right? Unknowingly. Years got sprung on you. I've been putting it in my mouth for 35 years.
well, like we said, the hereditary part. They told me that more or less I was a ticking time bomb. This was going to catch up with me sooner or later.
How fortunate to be at the hospital. It's another coincidence.
I could have been on a sideline of a game with 60, 80,000 people. And then, yeah, they have rescue paramedics there, but they would have had to find a needle in the haystack. Like, who? Where is he?
Or how about this? On 21, driving in between Jacksonville and Gainesville, and it happens. I mean, no one's going to find you for hours. I just came through there today.
No doubt about that.
Before Melrose, all that.
My God,
So uncertainty. We're gonna have to circle back around and see where Mr. Jeff ends up.
Mm-hmm.
Because I will promise you this: wherever it is, and I believe it'll be right back where he is, but wherever it is, it'll be done with a smile.
For sure.
And I think that's why you'll be successful. I think that is success, is contentment. It is not I've lived with a lot and I've lived with little, and either way, I was not happy unless I was at content. I was satisfied with what I had and what I've put into it. When I lay my head down at night, did I give it everything I could? I hear a lot of people that pray, and I'm not saying this is the wrong way to pray. It's just me. I hear a lot of people that pray, for this, that, and the other. I'm of the adage, I don't know that God always cares exactly what happens. I think he cares how I respond to what happens. And then that doesn't mean he doesn't intervene in miracles. I've seen him in my life personally and in others. You're a walking miracle.
Same.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I also know that he gives me free will. And there's a wise dude that always told me, he said, my God's a gentleman and he'll never go anywhere he's not invited. And so I always try to invite my higher power in to get in front of me. You lead, let me follow, because I'm an idiot. That's sometimes my prayers. And you know something? It works. If every minute and every interaction, that's sort of what I see with you. And I know we're winding down a little bit, but you're in the moment with people. Like when you're engaged with somebody, you're just in that moment. And that's a really cool attribute to have. And obviously it came from good upbringing and it looks like it's being passed on. I don't know your daughters quite as well. I know you have a gorgeous little granddaughter. Give a little shout out to her.
Yes.
She's not little no more.
Olive Marie, yes. She's
got to be almost 10.
She's
at least 10. Yeah.
She's dancing and
playing basketball.
We got to go to game day.
We're throwing her into everything, just seeing what sticks, because she's doing a little everything. I think she's singing in a chorus at school. So
dance is fun.
Yes.
Because they got to do ballet at first. And I have some of the cutest videos of Sydney doing ballet.
Oh.
So it's so much fun. You get to embarrass them later.
Yeah, we want her to get into more of the dance to see if she likes that sort of thing, ballet, the tap and all that. But she's growing so fast. In fact, I texted them yesterday. I was saying, hey, when are you going to come by the house? Haven't seen you guys in a while. And then, they said, Mom said we'll go to dinner one day next week. I said, okay, you pick the place. We'll be there.
My daughter last night, I had to go down. We got her new car and a plastic underbelly. So I went down there, got it fixed. And then we went back down and had dinner with her because often that's the best place to get her. If I bring her dinner, she'll sit with me and I'll take it anytime I can get. Jaybird's in South Korea. Zach's traveling like your boy. He's traveling all over, with the baseball and everything. So the only constant is change, and then the only thing that really matters in the very end, and Tim Tebow said it really well, is that little dash right in the middle. Not the year you were born, not the year you died. It's that dash. That dash right there is so small, but what did I do in that dash?
What does that dash represent?
What does that dash represent? And we're going to be starting a new business venture here, and I'll be talking to you about this offline. Until we get it launched, because it's really first to market on this one, but it is going to tie into memories and generational memories and things of that nature. You've done it, I think, more orally than you realize. You've had so many one-on-one conversations with J.I., driving and traveling, just casual when he's frustrated, the silence, but the loving silence. And I've been around you a little bit, and I've seen and then I've seen other dads. I've seen me, and there's a nature about you that the world can tap into. It can weather a lot more stuff. Yeah, you need tenacity. You got it. You're fighting young boys. You ain't scared. I saw you get in the gym start yoking. This is what it takes. Okay. That's the grind.
Everybody keeps telling me to slow down, but
Don't.
my heart tells
Don't.
me, no, I'm fine. I'm fine. People are freaking out that 3 months here later, and I'm already holding this much smaller camera, following this kid around a soccer field because of a story we're doing for Trauma One at my day job, and and thank God at the end of that, that's about as much walking as I've done in a while. There was no issues.
Yeah.
I mean, I felt fine afterwards. That was a huge hurdle.
Jeff,
But then again, pump the brakes.
Yep.
Let's not do too much too soon.
I was 305 pounds, and I couldn't do 9 push-ups. And I had to do the girl push-ups. I'd put my knees on the ground and start doing push-ups.
I haven't tried that yet.
I'll do whatever it took. At that moment, I was desperate. I was done. I wanted a change. And what we all want is we want that pill that we can just swallow. And my son tells me all the time, I don't care how much you're in the gym, 80% of your body structure is what you eat, And so I hated hearing that. I just want to go work out, ride the bike a little bit. Now I've gotten into the cold plunges. Now I'm not doing the freezer one yet. I'm using my pool, and it's cold. And I'm using the shower just to sort of get my body. Now I can stay in the pool 3 to 4 minutes now at whatever degrees it is.
I hear that's really therapeutic.
I'm telling you, my back, my mind, my body, take a cold shower. And I literally started with 3 seconds. I kid you not. I couldn't do 3 to 4 seconds. Now, Bam, ever since middle school, he always used his forearms in football. So he was black and blue. And I bought him the arm things. It never worked. So he would always take we would get ice, and he would just sit in there since middle school. Well, that's when all his weight dropped and his body shifted. We didn't know it, but we were doing cold therapy before everybody understood it. And then he would get out and go work out, and your muscles were all rigid, and it helps rip the micro muscles better. I'm not a scientist. Look it up yourself. But it's what's the guy I'm always mentioning on Instagram? He's the doctor.
The doctor.
Okay, I'll post it on the thread. But I mean, he's the one that got me into that and into breathing. Now this with your chest. So the military, like if you ever do have a stress thing, I had Xanax that I used to take, and then marijuana before that, and Xanax, trying to self-medicate alcohol. This was years ago, and then Xanax was the last thing I held on to. Now I didn't take it all the time. It was an as needed. Every now and then I'd have anxiousness and stuff like that. And then I started using the 4 square breathing that the Navy SEALs use. And we know a young man that went through the Navy SEALs, the buds, and he's a SEAL now. You know him as well. And I just don't want to miss his name. I don't know what they are.
Okay.
Anyways, so that got me intrigued because I love him, all this, and I'm like, okay, I'll start playing around with it. And it's in 4, hold 4, out 4, hold 4, in 4, hold 4, and that's it. It's just. Let me do it like this for y'all. It's just in 4, out 4, hold 4, in 4. It's just in and out. And what it does is it gets you so focused on 4, in 4. Oh, I had air left, so I start breathing. You get so focused on this, any kind of anxieties or frustrations, and the Navy SEALs use it when they go into entry into a house or whatever to keep calm and to keep the rate down. And so then this other gentleman who was the head of the insurance department for years, for 2 decades, he's now teaching people, and he talks about the 3 sets of 30 breaths. And I haven't got to 30. I do about 15 to 20, 3 sets. And you get real lightheaded. It's because you're blowing oxygen into your bloodstream. And he gets all into this. And so I will start breathing. But what he says is when you take a deep and you hold and you've expanded, you're literally giving your heart more room, and it gets to rest for a second.
Wow.
And so what I found is I've taken his morning breathing in the 4 square, and I'm practicing doing it throughout the day. And now my breathing is starting to change. And I still have stressful moments, but there's a difference.
Wow.
I'm 225 now. I went down to about 210, 208, and then I started building up, a little bit of muscle. And I don't think I'll ever get back to the size I was. But I'm not in the gym. I'm purely isometrics and stretching and things like that, as we get older. What I was going to say is people are worried about you not moving or moving too much or doing too much. You go talk to any older person like in their 80s or watch them. And when they begin to decline, their mobility declined first. And so I like moving. I like being able to move and stay moving. You know, I think it's good for my body.
Yeah, I've read countless things on that just be active, do what you can.
Our bodies are so. I also do intermittent fasting. That's my greatest achievement.
Never done that.
Okay, listen. I said this. I'm 300 pounds saying I'm gonna do intermittent fasting. I'm like, how am I gonna not eat? So I started. I'm not saying do it this way. I started with peanut butter crackers, and I would have 3 packs of peanut butter crackers. And I'd have a big old water, and I'd eat as much. In every cracker, I would guzzle a bunch of water, and I'd eat a cracker. And I got to where I kept breaking back my crackers to where I literally for lunch, I would have 2 crackers. I learned to eat like 1 square. And I mean, I'd eat it a mush, man, drink a whole bunch of water. And I'm not saying that's healthy, but I dropped 100 pounds in 8 months.
Really?
Now, I'm not saying it's healthy. Like with the, you know, there's better ways to do it now that I've learned. But what I was doing is I was calorie deficient is what I was doing. And I was still burning calories. But I was getting up to 20, 22 hours not eating. Start reading up on what happens. But I started with just 3 hours, 2 hours. I started with 3 seconds in the shower. It's always the little bite. I've trained my whole life. I can't tell you how many people I run into that want either the magic pill or want to bite the whole elephant. And you would not know how to be in the position to shoot the right shot except for what you said, experience. And I think experience leads to that. And so the experience of me, 16.8 is what I shoot for. But if you think about it, you quit eating when? At 9, 10 o'clock at night?
Oh yeah, I'm trying to eat earlier,
Right.
and
so
not
they
snack
say
or
they say
whatever.
only eat in the sun during the daytime, and that actually would suck this time of year because it gets dark
Yeah,
quicker.
at 5 o'clock.
No, but like I'll go to bed and I stay up late. But I mean, let's say I quit eating at 7, and if I pop up I get up early like 4:30. But if I pop up at 7 o'clock, that's 12 hours. So all I got to do is if you go to 12 o'clock, there's another 5. There's 17 hours. Mm-hmm. You start going past 14 hours, and if you do it on a regular basis, start reading up on what your body begins to do at 24 hours. It begins to kick out 300% of testosterone. You literally create, now this may be into 36 hours in, which I have not gotten to yet. You begin to create new stem cells, which go and cure cancers and our body is meant, we breathe. There was that biblical thing that when you breathe, it's actually Yahweh. The breath of life in the Bible. And so we do shallow breathe. I was doing a ton of shallow breathing, only top chest. And I started learning if I fill up my top chest, there's 3 parts. And then you get that last, and you force it in and you hold. And I'm going to tell you, my life is, I don't know exactly what it's doing. And it's not a placebo effect.
Dr. Gary Brecka.
Gary Brecka. Go look him up on Instagram. Go follow him on Instagram. Ignore this idiot. Gary Brecka.
Gary Brecka.
He was the head of the life insurance. He was the one that told Dana White, you're going to die in 7 years and 1 month. Well, think about this. And he says this. Gary Brecka said this. He said during the bank bailouts, he said not one life insurance company had to be bailed out. Not one. And they have to dictate, how would they know that you're going to have a heart, or they have to dictate exactly when you're going to die in order to be profitable. And so he then, 20 years, if he knew where you lived, where you came from, where your parents came from, and then would get a genetic, he could tell you exactly, roundabout. And so he's now left and has changed the game, and he's teaching people how to live longer. This is what I look for when people are going to die. Now let me show you, and he's a PhD scientist. He's not this idiot. This guy knows his stuff. And so there's Jesus and my family and all, but he's high up there, man. Gary, I like what I hear from him. So anyways, Jeff, what an absolute pleasure. I think you're going to be able to encourage people in your line of work, but more importantly, I hope what people see is the simple no, how do I say it? Hang on, give me 1 second. The simple complexity to you. There's a complexity to what you have that is intertwined with your family, your personal experiences, your personal religious walk, the miracles you've seen in your life, the being in the hospital instead of being down 20, all these little things that lead you to this moment. There's no doubt whatever's ahead will be clear, and you'll have intuitive thoughts and decisions because you got your mind dialed in properly. And I hope all my babbling, I hope that's what people get to see, because that's what I see when you walk. It's just a calmness. And it doesn't come just from you going, woosah. This is now I know there's anxieties inside and uncertainties, and I appreciate you being raw about them, but there's still that calmness of contentment, knowing there's something bigger than me that has always had my back, and I like to call him God. I'll let y'all figure out what you want to call him. I don't care. If he is as big as we say he is, he doesn't need me to define him for others.
No.
It says, hey, you won't cry out for me? I'll have the rocks cry out. Your little post on Sundays where you put a Bible verse, because we happen to be friends on Facebook. Now, we haven't talked for years, and yet here's a post, that at a particular moment on a Sunday morning I needed to read. And that's when I reached out to you in Messenger. That was a few years ago.
That's awesome, man. I do that out of, it's actually, for my mom, because she was such a big influence, even on those days that I was just, as a kid growing up and just going through the motions. But mom was so devout, and, even though I'm not as focused and dialed in as she was, she rubbed off on me.
Yeah.
And, and I just put that out there for whoever.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that you aren't. I don't know. I think the one thing I see in you, if I could pull one thing out and throw it away, it would be not giving yourself enough credit. You ever heard that before? You're very quick to minimize you.
Yeah.
That's your mama, isn't it? So that your father was the leader, and that's not a bad thing. This isn't like pounding your mind, because my dad was at Alpha, but it is you have don't discount yourself, because you bring a lot in this world, and there's a lot of people at that hospital that know you. And I promise you, well, you already saw it. How many people came in your room to check on you? And that's worth. You can have all the money in the world, and when you take that last breath, that's that dash that matters.
Amen.
And I think that's why you walk with such calmness and a smile. Personally, is there's a higher purpose for what you do.
Most definitely, and God constantly has reinforced that in my life to the point where, I can't live without him.
Yeah.
Because there's always a constant reminder, just when I need it, that,
Don't leave 5 minutes before the miracle happens. It's right around the corner. It always is right around the corner. You're either going through a storm, and if you're in a storm, you're about to come out. And if you're out of it, you better have your head on a swivel. You're about to go in. And if you can live that mentality and know I don't have control of either one of them, that's not my part. That's where the simplicity for me has gotten, is that I don't have to worry about it anymore. I now know that's not my part. My part is to be prepared and to do the best of my ability, and then to go, what are we doing? Because you better have a plan, because I don't. You are leading this, right? Matt Blythe, who used to fly I hope to one day have him on here. He used to fly the planes in for Tim Tebow and them in the Philippines.
Wow.
He had bought my Wood You store in Bradenton. I'd gotten to know him quite well, and then I watched him go through his trials and tribulations and everything. And he ended up writing a book. I'll get the book for you, and it's not coming to my mind, but it's a dynamic book about his life and everything. But he was the one that taught me that God could handle my frustrations and handle my anger, handle my fears. The church I grew up in, you didn't dare, because that was a sin. You're doubting, you have to give lovingly. I didn't want to give my money. I wanted to go buy bubble gum. I didn't understand that. As I got older and when I got sober, the men that I walked with told me, I don't care what you think. I don't care how you feel. What I care is what you do. And in doing, faith without works is dead. Never understood that verse. Never in my life understood that verse. I understand it today. Faith without works is dead, because you're dead without works. Not works to do better for God. I'm just talking about doing your part, or else you can't see the faith, because God ain't going to do it all for us. You can pray all day long, but yes, he can heal that heart. When and where and how, I don't know. I don't get it. That's not my part. My part is to do my best. You've gone through the surgeries to prepare your body to be as healthy as you can be, to be prepared to go on, back into what you do. And if the door swings, then you look up and you go, okay, now which way are we going? And you've done a fabulous job, and you've raised a great, group of adult, children that are going to carry on that legacy. And legacy, man, your mama's smiling. That's a cool thing.
Oh, I know.
I know. And J.I., I know him closer than I know your daughter. So when I see him, I just see you. And so I know it's going to carry on. It's like when I see Zach and them, but they're even a better version than me.
Yes.
And so that makes me happy. Because I always told my kids from the day they could understand, I said, listen, your job is to be better than me. My job is to take some of my ugliness to the grave with me and not pass it on to the next generation. Break the chains, and if I can break just 3 of them and they break 2, that third generation doesn't have 5 chains they got to deal with.
I got to remember that.
Breaking chains.
Convey that to, especially to Jordan.
Yeah.
But my girls, and
because it takes our imperfectness and it takes our faults that are, they just speaks in our mind, all that ugliness, and it wants to keep me from doing and being out there and having the balls to sit down with Taj and talk, and all of a sudden a man is touched. I don't care if anybody else ever gets touched. David Hopek knows what I said before we ever got started. If I touch one, it was worth it all. So they can say whatever they want. We were able to be a part of, not ego like we did it, just able to be a part of spreading that seed, and whoever that was had been doing, this is how awesome this world works, who had been doing their work of sowing the seeds of healthiness, looking for it, seeking ye shall find, and boom, here it all is. I can't put all that together. You can't put your life together. That's why I love this thing. It doesn't have to be Jeff Imperial, the world knows him. Although I will tell you, as this channel grows, and it will grow, people will know you. This channel will grow because it's raw and it's authentic. There's no other way for it to go. There are too many good people that are sitting down now, and I see what God's doing. And this is not me. I'm just, soon we won't even be looking for guests. It's coming to that point, We're at almost 50 subscribers now in 2 months. Not that I care about how many, I just care about the ones that listen. Are they the right ones? Am I laying the seed so that they can hear what God wants them to hear? And sometimes it's ugly. You won't want to watch every one of them that I have, because I sit with some dark people, and I'm going to sit with even darker. I want the ugly. I want Satan sitting right in that chair.
Wow.
Because I have no fear. I have respect. I respect that man. With the power that he has, he doesn't even know my freaking name. He ain't omnipresent. I got some one-eyed idiot tripping me up, and it's really me. Satan's not tempting me. I'm making bad choices, and you got to deal with the consequences. That's not a God-Satan thing, Selfishness and self-centeredness is just the root of who I am. We're born that way, baby. Yeah, well, give me, and then we learn, and we can unlearn. I don't care what darkness you've walked down, you can walk back out of it. Not alone, but you can walk back out of it.
I agree.
I'm going to end with this, Mr. Jeff Imperial 1. Thank you so much for being on All the Grind.
Thank you for having me. Broke the ice for me.
Yes.
I've turned down a few of these.
I know. I'm very honored that I bragged to my wife. I think this may be his first ever in front of the camera. So whatever happens, we always get to claim that.
Much
all about
comfortable
We popped his
behind
cherry.
it.
We popped his cherry. So, all right. So real quick, because I know we got football and you're a diehard. Who's winning tonight? Ohio State or...
I got Ohio State. It looks unstoppable, and Coach Day. I've been waiting for the guillotine to drop down on him, but he's surviving, so it's hard to go against them. But the funniest thing I heard this morning was on the sports channel was Notre Dame's coach.
Yes.
first black head
Oh yeah,
coach
young fella.
on Martin Luther King Day.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
No, I didn't either till they said it on TV, and I went, "Uh-oh." It's a toss-up.
Okay, why did the Chiefs take a safety when they were up by 11?
Because it took 4 more seconds off the clock, and they were still up by 2
And it
scores.
prevented a fumble touchdown or something, I guess. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Is anybody paying attention that it brought them within the line of betting?
You saw that too. The spread was 9.5.
See,
Spread
that-
was 9.5.
The gambling thing's over my head.
Me too, but that's the oddest safety I've ever seen.
Yeah, but they did it to take some time off the clock and still be up by 2 scores.
But they had no more time. Even if they somehow score a touchdown, they still got to score. They got to score 2 touchdowns in 32 seconds or 24 seconds? Anyways, That's just my conspiracy side of me, dude. I don't gamble, never have. I won't even
Neither
gamble
do
on it. I've never been a gambler, except for my brother. That $20, that was my brother running his mouth. I know he's watching this sometime. That was you, Bart. You don't even remember. That got me killed, man. All right, so we don't know. David, who do you think's going to win?
Ohio State.
Ohio State, I think so too.
Yeah.
Especially if they shut the run down at all for Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Notre Dame's not going to pass the ball and beat them.
Okay, being a Southern boy, is this game going to be intriguing to the Southeast? And I'm not talking about the SEC necessarily, just Kentucky South.
Your hardcore football fans will enjoy it. Last game.
There's been some really good games. Do you like the playoffs?
I think it's interesting, but I'm disappointed.
not like
I'm
basketball.
disappointed in that there were a lot of blowouts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were a lot of one-sided
There were a lot of boring
games.
games.
Well, because you can't
Agreed.
do what you did in basketball. 5 players can make a difference. You got 11 ball players, and with NIL, I don't know if you can. I mean, Boise State did great, and he said he's got 13. You can look this up. The coach said this on the news. He says, I got 13 players being recruited illegally already, and they're going to go. I mean, Boise State can't pay what others pay.
Nope.
Wow.
I'm glad Dion did not go to the Cowboys, by the way, if you want to know. I'm very glad. It would have brought a bunch of news and all that crap. They got enough. I like who they got there.
No, it's not his time yet.
No.
I think
He
he's better
knows.
served
He's
where
smart.
he is.
He's really smart.
know?
What in the world? But you know what I really like? And I'm not a Dion fan. You know what I really like about him? I'm becoming a Dion fan. I never knew the man never cussed in his life. With all that he did, women and all, he never drank, he never cussed. And but his first time in Colorado football history that the football team has a 3.0 GPA. He really cares about these men.
I'm amazed how old school he is.
Isn't that interesting?
Isn't it?
I know. You wouldn't think it.
No.
So it's what he said. He has, man, his documentaries are,
Yeah.
where he's no God, and then God came in his life. You know, he only has 8 toes. I mean, he had to cut off his 2 toes
Just
because of the
right.
turf.
Within the last
Right.
couple of years.
Yeah. But the funny thing is, I do have him coming across my shorts a lot because of his boys. Watching their relationship, they come in his office, and here he is with a pimped out office, and they're like doing his dance and making fun of him, and it's just like J.I. would do to you, or Bam and Jay Bird would do to me, and you boys, it's just I did not expect that out of him. Now he's still Dion. That man says he's going to do something. He does. He knows he's going. I mean, he wills himself to that.
He does.
That's a whole nother kind of a level. That manifestation. That's where I believe manifestation is real. I believe that if we speak the negative, I believe it puts power to it. To what degree, I don't know. I'm not smart
He's
enough.
cut from a different cloth.
Another cloth.
I mean, he speaks, and and none of his stuff is
no, we coming.
imitated or duplicated.
No.
I mean, he's
He's up. Yeah.
he's in a different class.
But he knew he had to be an entertainer, and that's where he became that Dion. But no one really knew the real Dion. And then to watch those guys then find a higher power God and to watch his life change, I don't know, just a neat story that I get to watch from afar.
It is.
I like watching people, like even in Hollywood, Matt Rife, the comedian. I'm not saying Matt Rife is this, but I like watching people that are up and coming and seeing if the world gets a hold of them and changes them, or if they're able to hold the gap. And like Mark Brunell, I mean, he lived a godly life even in the NFL. And I mean, you're an NFL starting quarterback. Back then, the Jags were really good. You remember what I know you remember what they did to Miami.
Destroyed him.
Holy 60-something.
Ended Marino's career. That was his last game. Ended Kelly's career.
Ended Kelly's, that's right. I mean, Stewart and Taylor thumping each other. God, dog. Maybe one day we'll be able to have some of those. Yeah. Maybe one day. Who was the tight end back then? The young fella. He used to go down to First Baptist, and I used to,
Kyle Brady.
Kyle Brady. I used to go down to First Baptist. I always be looking at him. He'd be in college and career. I'd be looking up. His
Huge man.
Huge.
God.
Gentle giant, though. From what I didn't know him.
No.
Okay, I didn't know him.
You got that right.
Okay, but we were around each other, and I saw how he interacted with people, and there was never an air about him. This man was a millionaire sitting in with all of us college and career. Here I am, a custodian. So you know I'm hating on him, right? All the women want to see him, not this little scrawny custodian, you know, which is where I found Don Marie. Hell, he didn't get it, whatever. But he was always just such a kind person. But I think that's why the Jags were so good is the head coach, management picks the right people. Because personalities matter. You know, I mean, he was now you had your Jimmy Smiths that had their off, but I mean, Fred Taylor, everybody thought he was just a broken down and would always get broken. And he said it. He didn't get serious until he got here and started working on his physical. You know, Bam helps me. Talking about your health, and we'll end with this. He'll be 3-4 days not throwing. If he throws on the 5th, 6th day, he's sore as can be.
Really?
And this is a pro athlete.
Wow.
So that reminds me, if I don't do squats in 3 to 4 days or I don't snatch furniture, I'm going to get, sore. And so just start with little baby steps, whatever within your doctor's realm. I've told David, man, literally just moving anything to put pressure. I use isometrics a lot. I'm not saying do this, but this is how we were talking about how God builds our body. Go look up what jumping up and down does. I mean, like a hard compact hit on ground to your bones. It actually helps them not get as brittle. And if you start looking at all the old Chinese and Japanese, what they do, and they slap the leg, and
I've seen that.
There's a reason. They know what they're talking about, and it energizes. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. It does good stuff. So here I am, an idiot at the house. I jump up and down, and I lay in flat-footed, and I want a vibration. I go outside, but I want a vibration when I hit the ground, to feel I want to feel it all through my legs, and it releases something, or I don't know.
I can see that.
I know, it's pretty cool. You're around doctors and all. You talk to them and fancy people. What's your favorite sandwich during surgery?
Favorite sandwich?
Yeah, like if you're sitting there eating while they're cutting somebody open.
Oh, God. PB&J?
PB&J?
Yeah,
Doesn't even think
simple.
about it.
No.
See, anything with fluidy kind of a feel while I'm watching them cut.
You're a texture guy to begin
Oh, my
with.
gosh. I couldn't do it. All right, Jeff.
Not that I would eat during that. That wouldn't be my go-to because I'm too busy.
Yeah, because if something
Working.
happens and they turn around, you're eating a PB&J. And what? The guy goes into cardiac and you're licking your fingers. That's probably not a good look. So that's why Jeff still has a job and I don't work in that industry. That's why I work for myself. Folks, thank you all so much for watching us. Thank you for listening to Jeff.
Thank you for having me.
Man, I hope that I'm going to be able to bug you and get you back on here, and I will listen to this and we'll find some little segments, because I do bounce around the first time because I don't do a lot of back study on people. I like to just dive in. And
well, we were kind of reminiscing, and it was kind of all over the place.
That's what
and
I
you jogged
want.
my memory about some things that I even forgot about.
I know. And as more come, jot them down, because you have a wealth of information to give people. So thank you so much for watching us. All About the Grind with Jeff Imperial. We'll see you folks on episode 12
Next week.
All right, next week.
Have a good night.
God bless.
God bless.
Yeah, I learned to stay strong. Concrete in the dirt I was raised on.
Beautiful.
Know how to put in work. Grinding all day, it's game on. My skin is thick, yeah, it's tough.
That was fun.
Running, yeah, we stay alive. Ain't gotta look
A
nowhere
lot
else.
of good stories.
All of this greatness
All
inside.
over the place.